I'll never forget that we ran back to the Borgata after we made that score, hit a daily double, ended up getting back about $850 or something, but needed it desperately to avoid going to the cash machine. And it's always a little sad when you're among the 11 or so people that are lined up at the various ATMs around any casino destination at 12:01 because it's a new day. You can get new cash, but you might be out of it before you even get to breakfast. It's worth having these limits, I guess, on your ATM card. No, Libby? Like, what's the maximum you could draw off your ATM card if you put
usually 500. It's usually 500.
Okay,
I don't know if it's around.
About a nickel somewhere around
that
category. And lately, my withdrawals have been frequent and even more generous.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Yeah, never mind the Fed and the interest rates going up. Seems like every month. The new fiscal day starts at midnight every day for a degenerate. Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you here. A Degenerate Friday on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest and one Mike Lubie. Lubitz, happy to have you along for the ride. Hello to Eric, the Jet fan, who also is a big Marlin fan, but hates the Marlins at this point because they won't get rid of Donnie Baseball, even though they won in dramatic fashion. What was that, a pinch hit home run that tied the game yesterday in the ninth inning? I think he sent up the right guy at the right time. Might have got a pinch hit home run to tie it in the ninth, and they ended up winning it 7-6 over the Cincinnati Reds. So the Marlins come home now to host the New York Mets in a game where, check this out, Lubie. If you were ever going to make a bet, does this not strike you as being a little strange? Now, we know the Mets have a much better team than the Marlins. They've performed at a very high level this year. They're in first place in the National League East by 3 games. They're all anxiously awaiting the return of Jacob deGrom, although deGrom, he struck out like 4 guys. He pitched 4 innings in his last rehab start in the minors, but also got tattooed for 4 runs and 2 home runs. Shelled by AAA players.
Yeah, that's not good.
Is that good? Well, he was just working on stuff. Yeah, like his hanging curve. No, he doesn't throw a hanging curve, deGrom. And he had been bringing it at like 100 miles an hour. The rehab was going great. Had a minor setback. They put him in the game in, I guess, Syracuse, right? AAA. No, they don't have a Syracuse club. But what do? They have a AAA club wherever it was. It used to be Tidewater, right? It was a AAA club of the Mets, Tidewater Tides. But that's changed. Syracuse is a Yankee AAA club, is it not, Louis? The Syracuse baseball team. I should know this. But these things do change hands from time to time. Nonetheless, wherever it was that he was pitching, he got shelled. And that's how you're going to bring him back into the major leagues, deGrom. So that wasn't all that promising. Although, I guess it was just the idea that does he have any pain, which, this prospect, the hot prospect from the Marlins, Tommy John. Holy quick. Tommy John.
That was quick.
Two-thirds of an inning the other day. I mean, he made his debut. It was sort of promising, although you say that, it wasn't all that great because you think he gave up 5 runs. I thought he only gave up 2. But nonetheless, and what's the kid's name now?
That's
Max
Mayo.
something? Mayer, yeah.
Yep.
Sayonara, man. Holy Noah Syndergaard. I mean, guys come back from Tommy John surgery, but it seems like every prospect that has a Marlins logo attached to it is somehow the best customer of Dr. James Andrews or whoever's doing their Tommy Johns these days. You don't hear that much about Dr. James Andrews. Did he retire? He was mentioned in every single guy, any guy that got injured, whether it was a knee, shoulder, rotator cuff, especially Tommy John. It was Dr. James Andrews out of Alabama. And haven't heard his name associated with any of these type of surgeries and operations for a while. But that's it. I mean, what a shame, huh? Guy comes up, shows a little bit of promise, and 2 pitches into his career practically, he's already in need of Tommy John surgery, which now keeps you out, the rest of this year and all of next year?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's
just can't catch a break with this team.
Haven't heard about Cabrera at all. Sixto isn't even a whisper. Like all the 3 young guys that were supposed to.
He's been spirited away.
Behind Alcantara. It's been a joke.
Martha Mitchell is more likely to turn up than Sixto Sanchez at this point. He's got to be long gone, right? Did they ever find a body? I don't know. Didn't she just disappear, Martha Mitchell, many years ago? And she was spirited away because she was about to open up a big mouth and knew a couple of things that maybe the boys in the, Congress and the White House didn't really want to have released at that time. All right. Anyways.
79, so that's probably why we don't hear his name. I don't know how active you want a 79-year-old to be in surgery.
80-year-old guy.
Yeah.
My buddy Dr. Jerry does a couple of surgeries a week. He's 71. What do you think?
I don't know if he's. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's working on $1 million athletes, but good for him. But yeah, Dr. James Andrews being 79, I feel like that has a lot to do with why we don't hear his name as often.
Maybe he just looks at the MRIs and says, "Hey, Joe, get in here and make sure you stitch this guy up right." No, it's a shame, though. I mean, because you like to see these guys come to the big leagues and prosper and then have some reason, a rise for hope that maybe the team is going in the right direction. It's funny, too, because I watched a little bit. I guess they played a couple of episodes of this Jeter documentary. Jeter seems like a completely different guy in this documentary, does he not?
Sure.
Than the guy that we came across when he was running the Marlins and who many people came across during his illustrious baseball career, his Hall of Fame baseball career. All of a sudden, he's like outgoing, laughing about stuff, gregarious. I mean, more than willing to peel back the curtain, as they say, and show you, the inside and get some insight into what he was all about as a player and certain situations. And I disagree now. The professor's not going to be happy, but obviously during this documentary, they showed several replays of the Giambi play at home plate.
Yeah.
He was not safe. He was tagged on the foot before. The foot that he was putting on home plate, he got tagged on the back foot, I believe, before his front foot hit home plate. I watched that thing a couple of times last night with a whole different slant because I was waiting to see how bad the call was.
Never seen that angle. They always show him hitting the back of the calf, and that's literally impossible to hit the back of a calf of a guy that's standing on home plate and it'd be out. So I've never seen where
I think they got him. I think they got him.
And then he hits. I've never seen that. Like they don't ever focus on that. So maybe the captain wants to answer that question for haters like me and Ken. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I'll have to.
Well, whether they got him at home plate or not, it was a great play.
Instinctively
tremendous play. You don't see this on the major league level where, not only do you have solid fundamentals, but then you go beyond fundamentals and apply some instinct. And as Jeter explained, he was like literally the third cutoff man on that play, and he saw that the throw was going to miss the first two guys. So he got in there and then flipped the ball to home plate to Posada in any fashion that he could. All right, well, that's debatable. I don't know. It looked to me like he was out.
I'll watch
I tried to watch it from the angle, Lubie, that he was going to be safe and that the call was blown because you guys had convinced me that was true, but I'm not convinced
That's
after watching that play a couple of more times last night.
There's a Zapruder
different
studies.
Slant, though. Yeah, different slant on Jeter. I mean, he's a completely different guy. Now Jordan had orchestrated completely all of that stuff in The Last Dance. There was nothing that Jordan wasn't responsible for. Now, obviously, you're going to portray a guy in a favorable light, you would think, in this type of documentary. And there's no reason to be overly detrimental about the way that Derek Jeter conducted himself. He may have been a little bit distant and possibly even aloof in regard to dealing with the press and fans and all of that, but he came across as a very legitimate, very likable human being, and it seemed like all of the stuff. I mean, imagine being under mass pressure like he was in New York City, being a young star and having to sustain that for so many years. And very interesting stuff. I thought it was an enjoyable piece. Obviously pro Jeter. So if you're not a Jeter, I don't know. Are there people out there that hate Jeter? I think that he was overrated. There must be, right? Professor is one of them. No, he doesn't. He should like Jeter because of the fact that he hates the Red Sox. Not the professor, but Jeter hates the Red Sox. I mean,
I know. I don't know. The professor, I don't think has the feeling for Jeter that I feel. I just think he thinks he was overrated. I don't know. He has a weird animosity for Jeter. And the minute that Jeter took over the Marlins, he wasn't happy. So there is something toward Jeter. I won't lie. I don't know if it's the same as his Red Sox vitriol, but there's something there. I'm like, he's not a big fan of Jeter, much like myself.
So I always liked Jeter. And, even when he came to the Marlins, I was highly optimistic that might be a good move. It didn't turn out to be anything special, but I thought, and I don't know. I mean, is the message there that Jeter realized that this was just an organization that was destined to remain not necessarily falling flat on its face, but just kind of flat? Yes. That they were never going anywhere in particular, that the best they could do. Just got a message here from our good friend Anthony, and he says if the Marlins finished above 500, that would be a successful season, and we become accustomed to that because we're immune to the idea and neutral to the idea that the Marlins would ever be any kind of contender. I didn't expect them to be a playoff team necessarily this year, but they try to imply that maybe that was the direction they were going in. He seemed to have a starting rotation that you could have counted on at least three guys to have outstanding seasons. And, you have two guys that are going pretty well. I guess Pablo's been a little bit up and down. Pablo Lopez. Alcantara's been sensational. Trevor Rodgers has fallen off. And then after that, it's like, okay, who the hell did I have? This kid Castano was kind of a spot starter. Yeah, wow, holy Herb score. Did you see what happened yesterday? He gets hit with a line drive in the head. Although it kind of deflected off the brim of his cap, which I guess lessened the blow to the point where it wasn't as devastating. Herb Score was never the same after that, getting hit in the eyeball with a line drive. I still remember that picture in the newspaper of him with the eye patch on. Ay. And it was an ugly scene. But and did the ball not ricochet in the air to the third baseman for an out? I think it did. Off the pitcher's head.
Yeah.
Imagine if the announcer, just calmly said, "Well, you could score that one 1-6."
That'd be great. I can see that. They just Defner just does it like it's a normal call.
Yeah, what is that? 1-5. 1-5. You could consider that one unbelievable. If you just gave it an ordinary call, but unfortunate, and fortunately for Castano, it doesn't appear that he's overwhelmingly set back by this. Said he had like concussion symptoms, but didn't appear to be any long-term damage to Castano. So literally dodged a bullet yesterday in that ball game, and that was early on. So the Marlins bounce back and win that one. Host the Mets in a series, 3-game series. I'm assuming tonight gets underway. Alcantara on the hill, and the Marlins. I mean, if you're a degenerate, but would you not take Alcantara at a price, even against the Mets at home? Now, we know the Marlins don't score, so it'll be zippity-doo-dah into the seventh inning for the Marlins, whoever they're facing. And it's not one of the stronger Met pitchers. They're not going against Scherzer, who pitched the other night against the Yankees and was great. So, I don't know. I think you're getting a pretty good price on the Marlins tonight, like maybe plus 150. I have it here somewhere. There you go, Libby. Marlins and the Mets. You're getting plus 120 with the Marlins. 120 on 100. That isn't bad, is it, Lubie? What do you think? You have to lay a price if you take the Mets. And the Mets are out there with who are they pitching tonight? They're pitching Bassett. 7-7, 3.72 ERA against Alcantara.
Oh, against Alcantara.
9-4 on the season, 1.81. And you're getting plus 120 with the Marlins. Is it not worth a couple of shekels on that, or is it a waste of time to think the Marlins could beat a good team at home after winning a game yesterday against the feeble Cincinnati Reds and life and death to do it, Lubie, to split the series? Most of the talk around Major League Baseball is about buyers and sellers right now, and you had a couple of deals already take place. You've had a few little transactions take place. Mets are actually making moves on top of moves. They got that guy Daniel Vogelbank from the Pittsburgh Pirates. You seen that cat? He's like 500 pounds. And it's funny because, of course, Mushnick was all over this. One of his teammates was talking about what great plate discipline Vogelback has, which obviously, I mean, the jokes are just, are natural that he doesn't have any plate discipline if he has a fork in his hand. That's for sure. How do you play ball that fat? There's a guy, Rowdy Tellez. You ever seen that guy? Yeah, he's like 500 pounds also. There are a couple of guys, too, like little squatty guys that have big pot bellies in Major League Baseball. And you're always wondering how when they showed up at spring training, the manager said, oh, yeah, I like him. But this Daniel Vogelbank supposedly was like a stud hitter at one time in his life. He's gotten a couple of hits as a Met, but he's also struck out 3 times. So, they were talking about what great plate discipline he has. And in the meantime, he's struck out half the times he's been up as a Met, hitting around 230. And, it looks like he could pack some serious wallop, but didn't have any inordinate number of home runs comparable to the size that he exhibits, which you'd be thinking a big left-handed hitter. They do put the shift on. Everybody's on the right side of the diamond when he's up at the plate. And, it looks like, might have some promise. But I don't know. Is he going to turn the entire Met fortunes around and have them hold off the Braves? They also picked up a guy, Tyler Naquin. Is that how you say his name, Lubie? From the Cincinnati Reds. And Philip Deal. So the big, gamble is, or the big conversation is who's going to get Juan Soto from the Washington Nationals. I don't know. Does he even get moved before the trade deadline, Soto? Because you only have a couple of teams that would be in contention, and obviously the Marlins are not one of them because they've put the word out, supposedly, according to reporters that are, you're inclined to think might be slightly in the know. But they've put out the word that everybody is up for grabs except for Alcantara. They will trade any
Yeah.
player except for Alcantara. So they're
Like,
ready to unload here, and 500 is not looking so promising there. I'm sorry to say. And who was that?
Anthony.
Anthony made that comment. All right.
I just think it's ridiculous. Like I saw that the other day, and it's like, okay, so you got rid of Gallen, one of the young arms that you could use right now. For Jazz, it was one of your rare trades that worked. Jazz is hurt, but Jazz seems to be a perennial star, and now he's on. It's like, okay, so then what's the point of how can you ever expect fans to ever care about this team? Like you're not even paying anyone. Like it's not even like at least when you said Yelich and Stanton, Stan had a huge deal. Yelich was going to come due shortly. Riamuto was due then. No one's getting paid. Like, what do you do? How are you turning over a roster that's not good, and no one's getting paid? Like, I don't like the idea that anyone would ever support this team regularly. To me, is totally illogical.
Very hard to embrace. If Miggy Rojas plays into his 50s, then we'll at least have one constant on this Marlin team. Other than that, pretty hard to relate to a team that's constantly flipping personnel, bringing in unknowns. They made a couple of moves in the offseason, but these were not major impactful moves unless, somehow it's, like the old saying. I brought this up many, many times, especially applicable on a Degenerate Friday. And this guy was a great guy. And Jim Milner, I believe his name was Jim Milner. Yeah, not Johnny Milner. Jim Milner. And he was a writer for the Miami News, and he covered horse racing. And he always had the little, catchphrase after each horse, like he would handicap the race and put a comment after each horse. That's the way they set it up in the Miami News. And my favorite comment is always "must make no mistakes." And that's kind of where teams like the Marlins are at, Tampa Bay Rays. Must make no mistakes. You can't afford to make any mistakes. So if you go out there and now it's not like you're dealing at the high end. All right, and maybe it would be a colossal mistake if the Marlins say sign one of these guys to these $350 million contracts, and they produced even like Giancarlo Stanton is producing, where he's an all-star, but he's also hitting like 228 in and out of the lineup all the time. This has been his best season as a Yankee, his most consistent season as a Yankee, and that's what has it been 5 years already since this decimation of what looked like a very, very promising Marlin team. Where they had Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton. I mean, that was your outfield. Pretty good, right? You would take that against almost anybody at that time. Now, Yelich has been great. He's been an MVP. Ozuna had one dynamite season, right, with St. Louis, but has been a little bit up and down. And Stanton, you would have to say, for the money that the Marlins had given him in a contract, that was their contract for the $300 million. I mean, if they had him on the roster, they can't afford this kind of guy in the market that we're in, because they just don't have that kind of. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this. Do they have the money to go ahead and
if they
spend?
won, they would have. I think it's a perpetuating. Well, they're small. First of all, Miami's not a small market. I hate that fucking mentality. Like Miami's literally a top 12. If you talk about markets, it's usually we talk about media. They're a top 12 market. And honestly, when you break down the top 12, there's only like 3 that are better. Like New York, Chicago, and LA are really the only ones that are better. Houston isn't better than Miami. San Francisco may not be better, especially with the prices than Miami, Denver. Like all these ones that rank higher are not better. When you come to like people wanting to live somewhere or be somewhere, it's New York, LA, Chicago, then Miami. Like that's the biggest misnomer and load of garbage. Like the Dolphins were never seen as small market. The Heat are not seen as small market. Like the Panthers now aren't even seen as small market. Look at the players I want. Like the Marlins are the only one that they use that like they're Pittsburgh. We're not Pittsburgh. Like that's the loaded. All the places where Cincinnati. We're not Cincinnati. Like all the other small markets. None of it. Like it's Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach is one market. What other market compares to that? New York, LA. Like I think that's when people say that's something the Marlins have embraced to just live in this weird mediocrity. Like, how are you turning over a roster now? You don't have any contracts. Like, well, what is the excuse to that? Like, I don't understand that one at all. I saw that the other day and I just laughed. I'm like, you guys don't even care. Like we had Mish say, oh, they had a contract dispute. No, they didn't, Mish. Jeter saw the writing on the wall. He really thought at some point they'd start spending. It's clear they're not going to.
No, and where's this Bruce Sherman guy? I mean, what's his State of the Union message here? That we're just going to stay like this forever? The Marlins are obviously have been their own worst enemy, and in this city, in this area, South Florida, you do have to win to generate any interest. The Panthers are among the lowest in terms of attendance and capacity of stadium percentage, of arena percentage, among the lowest in the National Hockey League. In spite of having they could not have had a more phenomenal regular season. So, if you're thinking about buying tickets during tell me it wasn't tempting to go to a game. A very exciting team. They were coming back from the grave in a zillion games, high scoring. At times they just got on tremendous runs of winning consecutive home games and had a phenomenal record at home. And I think at best, I don't even know if they were mid-pack when it came to attendance this year. So you do have to win. I mean, that's kind of inherent in almost any town, especially a place like this where we don't have like a zillion years of tradition. I mean, the Red Sox are going to sell out Fenway whether they're good or bad. Would you agree, Lubie? The Cubs are going to sell out Wrigley whether they're good or bad. They've been bad mostly, and of late, of course, I haven't seen their attendance figures, but I would imagine it's a tough ticket to get at Wrigley Field. But these are traditional baseball towns. So, yeah, I mean, the Marlins have done a very poor job of capturing whatever spotlight was available to them, and this year would have been a year where they might have been able to make something happen, but it's been very lackluster so far. They'll draw tonight, though, because the out-of-town team is always the big draw, and the New York Mets probably their fans have to be absolutely lathered up, thinking that they're going to make a move into the postseason with a realistic chance of going to the World Series and maybe even winning and all. We're not in that picture. But you're right. I mean, this is not a small market when it comes to teams winning, right? Dolphins had many years of sellouts. Canes used to, not draw exceptionally well, but certainly, they were packing stadiums with 50, 60,000 when they were winning. And now, I mean, maybe it'll come back and come back around, but that wasn't the most difficult ticket to get your hands on. If you were looking for like a Canes, Virginia ticket, you could have been among the very low percentage of people that were filling Hard Rock Stadium for any of those games over the last 15 or 20 years or so. All right, it's a Degenerate Friday. The professor's going to join us pretty soon here. The professor with the big board. It's always a lot of fun. Professor, a big smash hit on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox with his appearance at his own restaurant, The Foundry. Just an enormous number of viewership there on Mayo's site. Let's Eat South Florida. Mike Mayo going to join us later on. How was the Peruvian restaurant yesterday? How was that place?
Yeah, it was really good. They were really friendly. They kept bringing, it was like the dream. They kept bringing out food, and with our setup, it looked great on camera from what I know. And then we all got to eat a lot, and that was really good too. So we had a lot of fun. Nikki had fun. Their crew from Visit Lauderdale seemed to enjoy themselves, and I look forward to going back. It's literally within 5 minutes from my house, so I'm stoked to get back to Bravo Peruvian Kitchen.
Okay, good. And that's up on South Florida Live. You can catch that show in the archive there.
Yes, sir.
And I think Mike Mayo's even been popping it up on Let's Eat South Florida, which we hope he continues to do because obviously it was an enormous boost to our viewership. Having access to the 84,000 people that were subscribed on there or are members on the Let's Eat South Florida group on Facebook, which is outstanding, by the way, if you're looking for restaurant information in the local area there. And people even have suggestions sometimes about out-of-town places. Somebody says, yeah, I'm going to Tennessee. Where can I eat in Chattanooga? Where can I get a good burger? And, there's that kind of stuff on there, too. So Mike will join us later on the program here on Degenerate Friday. Saratoga going today. Got out there for a little bit of punching yesterday. It was pretty good. And wow, I mean, this is always great because I don't know. If you took all the tip horses that you got in your lifetime, and probably the worst touts at the track are trainers and jockeys. Now, you would think the trainer would have a pretty good idea if his horse had a shot to win. And a lot of people believe that the game isn't totally on the level, which I don't know. I mean, what do you believe about Bob Baffert? You think that all those...
I mean, now?
the biggest guy in the game is crooked.
I mean, it's hard not to think. It's
How are
crooked.
we supposed to believe, Lubie? Syringes are falling out of Jill Baffert's purse as she
Exactly.
goes to tip the valet guy while we're at a restaurant. We witnessed this. No, we can't say that that's true. I mean, I don't want to fabricate the truth here.
Surprised.
Like, here we are, like ragging on the Trumpster, and then we're just going to totally make something up and put
Well,
it out there as if it was the truth. Trumpster,
that's
by
all-
the way, very much on display yesterday. I mean, I'm sorry, people. I mean, I
love
just I cannot like this man. I mean, what do you guys see? And is it that he's not Joe Biden? That was the whole thing about the whole Biden Trump race for me. Anyway, it's like, okay, I'm not a big Joe Biden fan, but anybody but this guy. All right, especially after that disgrace of an exhibition as a country's leader. After the only thing he really was brilliant at leading was orchestrating an insurrection and an invasion of the Capitol building by a bunch of wild radical nuts with guns and weapons. And then he's sitting there with his arms folded. See how the people. What a strange cat this guy is. That's what I don't get about people. How strange is this man? I mean, did he display any particular brilliance as the country's leader? I don't know. Every time we saw him in a press conference, he was making some statement that made him look like a complete buffoon. Like, why don't we gargle with Clorox?
I'm all about supporting my side. You remember, I was Mr. Andrew Gillum. I'm not supporting Andrew Gillum anymore. I'm like, dude,
you love that guy, right?
He's got popped twice for things that are actually way less than anything Trump's gotten popped for. Like way less. And I said, yeah, Gillum, you ruined it. You screwed up your opportunity. Bye, Gillum. Like I never like. There's supporting your team, and then there's going, yeah, this guy on my team sucks.
I mean, the people are outside this Bedminster golf course screaming about, what a disgrace it is that here, the former president of the United States is hosting this Saudi Arabian sports washing event where, all of these golfers are hiding their heads in disgrace.
Exactly.
They're all wearing the thing now. Right? Dustin Johnson had one of those little things on his head. And it was mostly to cover his face as he walked in there. Although I don't think they are lacking in any pride. But come on, I mean, they kind of like dropped out of what you would consider to be the real competition and took this, other road, which is fine. I mean, if you want to sell out for the money, who are we to judge, right? I don't know. Maybe confronted with the same situation, we would have done the same thing or worse. I don't know. It hasn't happened, so I don't have to answer that question. But, I mean, the obvious argument is they were doing fine anyway. What do they need this stuff for? Now, in the case of most of the guys that they signed, I would say the large majority, you have guys like, as we said, Thurston Howell, this Charles Howell III, who hasn't won a tournament in 5 years and is like 43 years old. And you know what? Even though he never wins, he has like a couple of wins on the tour. Charles Howell III, the skinny guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, he was so thin. It was pathetic, right? If you had a hot dog and you were eating it while you were in the gallery, you would have run up and made him take a bite. Just here, eat something. A poster child for anorexia with a golf club in his hand. And, but it was always sort of respected, right? Well, here's Charles Howell III.
Yeah.
All right. He made $42 million in prize money in his career. $42 million. The guy was not a big-time winner. So, I mean, it's hard for people to cry that they were getting robbed by the PGA Tour in terms of the possibility of making money. I mean, like a sort of a nondescript guy. I remember looking at, like, I think the 150th guy on the golf tour. Is this possible? Maybe I'm making this number up too, Louie. I'm getting pretty good at that. Oh, but I believe maybe like the 100th guy on the golf tour made $1 million.
Probably. You just got to finish. I mean, as long as you're not like the last guy, you still make decent money. And all of them, even if people who have never been heard of, have some kind of a sponsor. Like being out there on TV at all, you get some sponsorships. They're not making 30 grand a year. Like they're all making a living. Even the worst guy on the tour. If you're on the tour, you're making some kind of a living. 100%.
You would have to think, yeah. I mean, and a very healthy and happy one in terms of finances. $42 million this guy made. Now he's 42 or 43 years old, so of course he signed just like Bubba Watson, who, as we said, for some reason, in every list of known dickheads in sports, which I have not experienced this, so I'm just saying, what I've seen from other people here. But, well, isn't that what you always do? But, I mean, the general consensus is that this guy is an asshole. And
Oh, yeah.
not well liked, Bubba Watson. I think, was it you that was telling me who was saying that, well, he's got social issues or whatever and anxiety. He's got some Ricky Williams thing working. And, that has contributed to the notion maybe it makes him look worse than he either is or really means to be, that he just comes across poorly because of his social anxiety. I don't know about that. That could be true, but Bubba Watson isn't winning any tournaments of late, is he? Every now and then, some guy, one of these wise guy handicappers in the Bury America campaign, Brent Musburger's thing, suggests that you take a flyer on Watson at like 500-1. But his day is past, and these are the kind of guys that are signing up on a live tour, with the exception of like a handful of guys like Dustin Johnson. I don't know. Is Brooks Koepka finished? Sure looks like it.
It feels like it. Yeah, really. That's the thing, is all these guys, even Dustin Johnson, who flirted with the Open, he's not like finishing top fives. Like, didn't he?
He's not dominating like it looked like he might. Yeah.
It's like all these guys sort of know something that either we do know or we don't know. Like, none of these are. Cam Smith's the one that I still haven't heard him be made official that he's going over there. But the rumors after he won the Open, he's a younger dude. He's been top 3, I think, ranking all year. He just won one of the tough. Well, it was easy this year, but usually one of the tougher majors. So him going would be their first big splash. But outside of him, no one else has gone that you're like, oh, that guy's contending.
Phil El Finito, man. They should just call him El Finito. Finished. They're never going to win shit. Nothing. Bill Mickelson. Okay, some of the wise guys out there can feel him. Yeah, well, he could play better than you, Defo. Of course he could. I don't play golf. And I'm not claiming to be a professional, but nonetheless, it seems to me, it strikes me that almost everybody that's signed, that they may as well just be the go-between tour, the live tour, between a PGA Tour and the Champions Tour. In fact, I'm surprised they haven't signed Bernhard Langer, because he would be one of their better players. The guy's like 80 years old and is winning all the events on the Champions Tour. Seems to be ageless. But anyway, the Trumpster yesterday, I mean, it just, I'm sorry. I shouldn't get into this because it alienates people, Lubie.
Yeah, I'm sure. Whatever. I don't know.
First of all, he looks like a fucking goofball to me. I mean, he just does, with the red hat, make America great again. I mean, all of this stuff where, I mean, you could not have had a lamer response as a human being. I mean, if a person was drowning in a lake and he was a brilliant swimmer, it looks like he wouldn't have made a move, to even stick a toe in the water or even throw the guy a rope. He just watched the guy, especially if it was Pence. He would have just watched him drown. All right. Yep. Cops are getting annihilated. I mean, people are, obviously it was not a situation that you wanted to see on the steps of the Capitol building of the United States of America, whether you felt you were jobbed or not.
Look, anyone who's
grace, a little dignity.
We've made plenty of fun of Biden. Like, that's my thing, is that people are going to, well, you talked about Trump. We talk about Biden. Like, to me, as long as you talk about everyone, then you should be allowed to talk about anyone. And that's what we do. Like, I don't care. You can be the staunchest Trump supporter. The dude's a loudmouth ass. You might
He was always a clown to me. I don't know. The poor man's Hugh Hefner, a guy who was a big time, had all the money in the world somehow, and was a big time wannabe, and just couldn't get enough of himself. And uses literally the woman want woman theory. I mean, like nobody I've ever seen.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. So, somebody says, hey, can you really feel comfortable, Donnie boy, here backing these guys that are getting paid by the Saudi government, especially in light of all of these atrocities that everybody knows about, including like executing like 81 people, in like a mass execution. And he goes, so they ask him about the 9/11 because the protesters were out there. This wasn't Martha Burke. These were like legitimate people. I mean,
yep.
That are horrified that this is taking place there.
In Jersey, like, hello, they can see
steps away. Yeah, you could see the building. The smoke is still going.
He's Mr. New York, right?
Mike Piazza.
He was Mr. New York. That was his thing.
Mr. New York, Mr. America, and was down on the Saudis. But now, because the PGA, I mean, it's always like childish shit with this guy, too. I mean, the PGA Tour pissed him off. So who's going to be the most warming, welcoming body for the Saudi Tour here in America? Donald Trump, who's the home to 2 of the tournaments, including one here in Doral. That ought to be interesting. See what happens there. You want to get down there? Maybe get a couple of comments in, Lubie? Maybe we can get Donnie to come on the show. Because, to turn around to the reporter and say, Well, nobody really knows what happened at 9/11. I mean,
Did he say that? He really said that?
essentially, that's what he said. I mean, I'm paraphrasing his exact comment was something along the lines, and it's recorded. It's not like somebody made this up. He says, "Well, we never really got to the bottom of what happened at 9/11."
We actually did in every sense. We actually 100% know everything at this point.
The guy was president of the United States for 4 fucking years.
He definitely
right. If he wanted to find out what happened and get to the bottom of a situation that was as heinous as any, I mean, and you don't think he had an opportunity to have that figured out? So now all of a sudden he has no idea what the hell happened there.
Hey, look, and we love
What an
Patino.
asshole. I mean, I'm sorry, people. You could love the guy all you want. What an asshole statement that was.
Look,
I mean,
we
it
love
really
Patino.
was.
He's been great to us. Hopefully we'll get him back on here in this avenue and get him on video. Sat literally in the studio for an hour with us. Mr. Mama and the Duke, 2 people we adore, are real close to him. So that's great. We also admit when he's like, I didn't know anything was going on. First of all, if that is true, that's sad. Second, you didn't know on purpose. Like, if Trump doesn't know, it's only because he doesn't want to.
How does he not know? Get out of here. Well, even if he doesn't know, he has to have a pretty strong opinion about it. So his opinion is obviously then that because he doesn't know what happened here,
okay,
that obviously the Saudis had nothing to do with it. And let's welcome them to Bedminster, New Jersey, to play this golf course, 3 rounds, so that I can show off that, I guess, I don't know, can he hit the ball a little bit? Is that possible?
You can probably stand there and...
Looks terrible. I mean, it just looks like a clown to me. I'm sorry.
He does. Biden does too. I've openly said I don't think either runs in the next. At least Biden, when he doesn't run, we'll know he doesn't run. Trump's lying about running because that's his new scheme. It's like the greatest Ponzi scheme ever.
Yeah.
Fake running for president, so I can take all the money for myself.
I don't know. Whatever his agenda is, I mean, it just you couldn't help but be you're just looking and thinking that this has to be just a big spoof, right? On the American public.
6 years.
How the hell is this still going on? Unbelievable. The guy's running for Make America Great Again. He gets a stupid hat on, man. Why don't he just wear clown makeup while he's at it?
We're a disaster. It's immediately after and during his regime. We're a disaster. You want to put it on Biden, fine, but it didn't start January.
The minute Biden took over, everything went to shit.
That minute.
That's what he would have you believe.
2 weeks earlier, he was storming the Capitol, but it was Biden.
What's happened in this world, man?
It's a weird place, man. You're in Italy. It doesn't feel like it's there, but again, I don't speak Italian, so they're probably bitching about their government too. France.
I don't know, but people are friendly there, and it's not so hostile. And if you do have a comment like we just made, and you happen to be it's unfathomable for me to think that anybody could support this guy. But there are people that really believe he might have been among the greatest ever in terms of helping people out, which is the last instinct I think he possesses. Because if it happened that he was helping people out, it certainly happened by accident and not by design.
Like, oh, okay.
Maybe all Republican policies are correct, and we really need to move over to the right to fix what's wrong in this country. If that's the case, then I happen to be wrong. That's all. But it's not reason to start fighting with each other and dismiss each other as friends. That's crazy. Especially when all stuff is out there as material. When you're doing this, we're doing commentary. That's what we do here. So that was just when I see the guy, I immediately get an appalled feeling, and then when he makes those smarmy faces as if he's really a good guy, I'm sorry, and he might have done some good. Maybe he gave a lot of money to some dog rescue shelter, and I should be on his side, right? Maybe lay off the guy. But this business yesterday, well, we never really got to the bottom of 9/11. That's his comment as these people are screaming. You're a traitor, Donnie. A traitor.
The Saudis aren't even denying it. Like that's
no.
Someone's a true scumbag is when they're like, golf. Look at the golf.
All these stars are out there, and of course, the Saudis were big in golf because everywhere you look in the desert, there's a course. Correct. Everywhere you look, nothing but sand traps. That's all there is. How many golf courses are there in Saudi Arabia?
I wouldn't think a
they
lot.
Must have a couple, man. Maybe that was because the Sheik play. I don't know. Get a little foursome together. Have a girl out there with a booze cart. No, that was insane yesterday, and I think it's only going to be yesterday was the Pro-Am, so because the tournament actually starts on Friday with the Live Tour, and they only play 3 rounds, and nobody cares who wins because they're all making money anyway.
I love that Julian was like, yeah, I was at a bar yesterday, and of course he's in the Northeast, so obviously, but
Yeah.
I was in a bar yesterday, and people I had tickets, and were like, here. I can't go here, and others were like, to what? I don't want to go to that. Like, no, we take the free tickets.
I don't think they were allowing the public into this thing yesterday, but I guess they would be today. I don't know what kind of crowds.
I don't know. What's the point of having it? So you can't even have crowds. It's not on TV anywhere. Supposedly it's on YouTube somewhere. One of our.
I think yesterday they didn't have people public, the public admission because of the Trumpster being there.
Oh.
And he wouldn't be playing today because the tournament's actually on. And then they have this team concept, which I don't understand either. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but I guess it's growing the game of golf. Golf's in the news every day. If no publicity is bad publicity, then this is certainly a good thing. And maybe the Trumpster's right. Yeah. Hey, Greg, come on over. All right, the professor coming up here in just a few minutes. Hialeah Park, we talked about him yesterday at great length during the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. A brilliant edition conducted by Dave Gurgles-Gurgley, by the way.
Oh, I saw Pat Cox last night. I was able to hand him his certificate in person.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Nice, it was great.
Did he redeem it right there on the spot? Was Sufreen pissed?
I don't think so. I don't think he did.
You brought 100 people to the bar, but they were all eating for free because they went on... It's never big with the proprietor of the event. I thought we were going to make money on this. Well, you know what? That's not exactly the way it worked out. I thought you had a following, Lubie. All right, how's Pat doing, man? He looks good, right?
He looked great, yeah. Everyone's good. We had a packed house. We've been getting really good crowds there, so hopefully the trivia challenge is helping a little bit, and we've had fun there, and I know everyone always has a good time at Hialeah, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Hialeah is a great spot, man. And especially now you got Toga going. And as we said, if you wanted to catch the atmosphere of Saratoga without going to Saratoga, you don't need to schlep to Albany, rent a car, and then try to find a hotel that's 5 times the price it normally would be if you went there in the dead of winter when nobody wants to be in that area. We're up at Lake George. Yeah, we're ice fishing. Yeah, go fuck yourself. But you can get that atmosphere at Hialeah Park. It's just absolutely fantastic, and you're going to love everything about it. As we say, and I can still envision myself at the press conference when John Brunetti Sr. unveiled the plans. I remember a guy that worked at the radio station said, "Hey, we ought to go down to this press conference here. They're going to turn Hialeah Park into a casino." I said, "Well, what are you kidding me?" Right, and everybody was skeptical. Nobody thought they were ever going to pull it off, and sure enough, you couldn't put anything in terms of an accomplishment past. I mean, he should have been running the country. John Brunetti Sr. A lot of people had issues with him, but you know what? Guy was a man that was true to his heart and followed his dream, and for some reason persisted in keeping Hialeah alive as a possible venue for something in the future. And when the casino licensing thing became available, he took that opportunity. A lot of red tape, man. Nobody fought through more red tape than John Brunetti Sr. And then, sure enough, he pulled it off, man. And it's beautiful. I mean, the way they put it together, you would expect no less. Always a first-class establishment, Hialeah Park. Great food and drink. A great place if you're catering a party or looking to throw some kind of big bash, no matter how big or small, actually. But, I always love the way that they perform when it comes to the service part of any of these banquets that I've attended there, whether it's a sit-down dinner, right? Yes, I'll have the prime rib tonight. And then she looks at you and says, "Why don't you try the salmon?" But whatever it is, I mean, it's always great. It doesn't matter, man. Yeah, okay, I'll have the salmon. No problem. Yeah, string beans. Yeah, put it out right on the plate. Or if you're going to like one of their buffet style setups, unbelievable what they do with that. So if you're having a party, any kind of corporate event, any kind of special event, family reunion, whatever it is, celebrating just anything in general, life. Hialeah Park, hialeahpark.com. You can get more details. Just give them a call. They'll give you all the details and information like they did with Lubie for the wedding. They tried.
They
Can't help it that they couldn't compete with some farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere in Homestead. I mean, where all the appetizers looked the same and they were an odd color of pink, Lubie.
You're wrong about the appetizers, but you're right about the location. It was beautiful. It was annoying altogether.
It was a mosquito hatchery, I think, or something, no?
Fucking bones.
Isn't that what it was labeled as? Please do not disturb the nests. The mosquitoes hatch in nests? I don't know. I don't even know. What is the nature of coming into this life for mosquitoes? I'm not sure. But whatever it was, they were all there. Yeah. Was it a convention down there in Homestead, of a mosquito convention? What was going on? Yeah, we got the Teamsters here. Anyway, Hialeah Park would have been just a wild venue for this, and really would have given you the party atmosphere. So, anytime you're booking a party or looking at any special event, Hialeah Park, if you want to go out there and degenerate a little bit, do some gambling on your favorite Vegas style games, poker room, and/or the ponies, Hialeah Park is a place to go. So make your plans, clear your social calendar, pick a day, get out there, a day or night. Hialeah Park open until 5 a.m. this morning, or like tomorrow morning, and then Saturday into Sunday as well. So lots of time to party at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, the professor right around the corner. He's coming up next. I'm Jeff DeForest. He's Mike Lubitz on South Florida Live here, the Defo Show. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, is going to join us in the morning and then again in the afternoon at 12 with a very popular Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, getting all kinds of critical acclaim. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox comes your way at 12, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's just commonly referred to now as the box, Lubie. Have you noticed that? It's got like a casual. Yeah, I was listening to the box. It's 7:49. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Joined now by the professor, showing no symptoms, Nick Saban. How threatened do you think college football is by all of this stuff? He's not the first prominent coach or named coach to be afflicted with this.
I mean, I think how threatened we feel like this is based on how many campuses Dan Mullen's wife is going to be.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday here in South Florida Live, the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubitz, and we welcome into the show a man who's starring on many platforms here on South Florida Live, one of the most viewed and popular editions of Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, featured, I guess this was conducted live last Saturday and aired again on Wednesday's edition of the Lunchbox. The professor at the Foundry, which, wow, I mean, you and Mayo, seem to hit it off very famously, Professor. How are you?
I thought the show went well, actually. I have a question for you, though.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the show as I'm tuning in here. How the hell would you know what the appetizers at Lubie's wedding look like?
Oh, we were there for that. Yeah.
I personally saw you sneak off to the garden house and grab a machete so you and Mustang could hack your way out through the back road.
I got to the appetizer
Chardonnay
portion.
Ran out. You were out there like Michael Douglas in Romancing the Stone, jumping over alligators.
It wasn't exactly a vintage Chardonnay either, Libby. I'll have to say. I don't know what the caterer charge you for that, but more than $1 a bottle would have been an extreme. markup in price. No, yeah, I was there for the appetizer. They all looked the same, didn't they? I mean, and I asked, well, which one is this? And they said the
I
chicken.
honestly, I
And
don't
it looked the
remember.
same as the crab and the same as the
There's
shrimp.
a lot of bread and fried stuff, yes. But
And it was pink. Why were the appetizers pink? Was there something about pink at this wedding?
So
Yeah, we bailed long
thought-
before the dinner, though. I mean, because that photographer was a clown. It had Lubie. You couldn't
Isn't
even
that
say
every wedding?
congratulations to Lubie. I mean, unless you waited like 2 hours.
Look, I remember honestly going to your wedding out in Vegas, and
Yeah.
Lubie and I are there watching as they're getting ready to take the pictures of you and the lovely Stang, and the
Yeah.
couple before you, which I
That
think
was
it took them about 4.5 hours to take the pictures, was the most uncomfortable interracial couple in history. It was like two groups of
Yeah.
people who clearly wanted to kill each other because neither side. I think really, regardless of venue, I don't care if you get married by Elvis. I don't care, if you go through the drive-through. You
Yeah.
should schedule at least like 3.5 hours for the pictures because that's always what it takes. Like the pictures always run super, super long.
Not in my case. I mean, that wedding, it was conducted by the Duke and the lovely and talented one. So my immediate inclination, though, is to decline all pictures.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
listen, we all have cell phones.
Obviously.
Go
As
fuck
would
yourself
all,
with
yeah,
your
like-
picture package. Yeah. I don't buy the picture on a cruise ship. I never even want to stop there by the little thing, with Captain Stubing. When you get on, like, even remember you used to get on the gambling cruises, and then they would
Yes.
want to take your picture, which is like the last thing you want anybody to know that you were on this thing.
Yeah, honestly, the day trip they're taking the pictures for, like,
Yeah,
nobody
yeah.
wants memories. This is the reason we start drinking the minute we get on board. Is nobody wants to remember this.
Give me my money back, like 10%.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take that, but
Okay.
geez.
I can't
Oh,
even
my
get a
God.
comp for a free picture. I just lost $1,000. What the hell?
Yeah. Holy Gus Boulos. I got to pay for this? Get the fuck out of here. I'll never go to another Miami
There's a
Subs
name.
again.
Wow, yeah.
Well, I've told you my Gus Boulos story where I tried to get $400 back from Gus Boulos because
Oh, yeah.
Parliament and I had hit like a Gator game or something.
That's the best.
But it ended before they came back. They'd already re-entered the 3-mile zone. They were still sailing, but we couldn't get our money, of course. And then that night we turned on the Channel 7 News, and there's like Brian Andrews in the Channel 7 helicopter hovering over. I think the place was called Martha's, the restaurant where the ship docked, the Sun Cruise.
Mhm.
And he's hovering. I'm thinking, wow. I mean, what's going on at Martha's? But the truth was, the two bookies that ran the sports book had been busted.
Oh,
And
okay.
they were coming off the ship that night with raincoats over their heads. And
I
in
thought you were
handcuffs.
going to say it was the day he got, whacked in the garage.
Well,
on
it led
17th
to that.
Street
Yeah,
there.
it kind of led to that because my friend, a guy named Steve, who was a statistician down here, was a car dealer, and he says I might be able to get you your money. I told him the story about how I got screwed, out of the 400, plus 200 of it was money that we laid out, right? Anyway, he says I think I can help you. Like Gus is on the ship on Wednesdays. Why don't you come out? I'll introduce you and I'll tell him your story. And because you're in the media, he probably would like to have some favorable press about how great he was that he gave you your money back. So maybe it'll happen. And as he was about to approach Bullis, he's in this discussion. I'm telling you, Ken, I mean, you remember the look that Vito used to give us.
Yeah.
I mean,
used to see
he's
it-
with like four
Used to
guys that are
give you.
speaking.
I was always on good terms with Vito.
yeah,
yeah.
but still, he would lose.
Yeah, but you didn't owe him any money.
He would lose.
Exactly.
Although it was guilt by association with Vito. It
He
didn't
would move
matter.
around me a lot.
It didn't matter that you weren't the principal in this case. You were just as easily whackable
Oh, well, thanks for
To be-
telling me that 10 years after dragging me into the middle of that
Well,
situation.
he's not with us
I'm
anymore.
glad to
May he
know.
rest in peace.
He's
Yeah.
gone. He and Eddie.
Anyway, so these guys are. I mean, I have never seen a more violent looking conversation. They're all speaking Russian to Bullis. So I guess I don't know.
That's
Did he
always
speak
a
a little
good
Russian? Yeah.
That's what you want. In
And,
public, telling the restaurant.
And so I'm thinking, well, probably not the best time to ask him for my 400 on that Gator game because his bookies got busted, and the whole sportsbook scam turned out to be exactly that. And so anyway, I walk away and
And
I'm
it's
going,
still
I'm
just
losing.
as legal today as it was then.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and I walk away, and later he comes. He gives me the 400 personally. He gives me 4 black chips while I'm playing blackjack or something or roulette or I don't know what I was on. But and I thought, wow, that's great. And then 2 days later, they whacked him. So I'm assuming that conversation didn't go well.
I think again the interesting part of that story is that's got to be what 25 years old probably.
Oh, even maybe longer. Yeah.
Okay. And in that time, the state of Mississippi, whose state constitution I think is just a copy of the Ten Commandments, has actually legalized sports gambling. And Florida has made exactly zero progress on the day
Amazing.
the Sun Cruise bookies got dragged out of the ship to today in 2022, where all these, let's be honest, backwards ass states with some backwards ass laws have actually made progress on it, and we can't make any in the state of Florida. That's just stunning to me. It really is.
I was surprised when I walked into Harrah's in New Orleans, which I hadn't seen this before. They had redone a little section there of their casino, and of course, it had a sports book. I don't even know it was legal in Louisiana. I mean, you talk about an ass backward state. Yeah.
There you go. Louisiana's another one where, like, I don't know, the state constitution literally features a cartoon picture of Jesus riding a dinosaur to demonstrate.
They have like a
laws on
Klansman
teaching
outside the
evolution.
Capitol building, a statue of some guy from the Klan. I mean, come on.
Here's our state law on education when it comes to evolution. Here's a picture of Jesus riding a T-Rex.
Like he was Mike Smith on Zenyatta.
And I heard you, by the way, go off a little bit on Trump and his golf.
Oh my God, what a fat clown.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Two things. Number one, really, the threesome was Trump and Bryson DeChambeau and Dustin Johnson. Were you going for maximum douchebag? Were you just trying to surround yourself?
Is this the big board today?
Biggest jerk offs you could find, so that maybe among the threesome you were the most odious personality. You're like, I'm going to say something stupid about 9/11, but Bryson, ask Bryson his opinions because they're probably much worse than mine.
He's got a syringe in his ass as he's about to tee off there on 13, and the Saudis don't care. They already gave him the money.
But in the interest of both sides, can we talk a second about what the hell is going on with Brittany Griner and this administration? That we've got the president of the United States coming out and endorsing an arms dealer who is known as the most dangerous man on the planet for like 2 decades. We're going to trade him for a freaking basketball player. I'm sorry, for a WNBA player that makes so little money playing in America that we had to go. And honestly, I know there's been accusations of racism. There's been accusations of sexism. Let me be clear. I don't care if Putin personally had LeBron and had him hooked up to a car battery like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon. I'm not giving you this guy back for anything. I mean, this guy tried to sell anti-aircraft missiles to freaking Al-Qaeda. Like, the fact that this is even a discussion is the most insane thing I can remember in a long, long time. And it seems like it's all about the publicity that's being driven by the sports media. It's like, well, we have to get Brittany Griner back at any cost. No, not at this cost. Are you freaking crazy? This guy's responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths, and you want to give him back to Russia, who there's no guarantee if we give him back to Russia, he's not going to be back in business like 3 months later.
Well, there is a guarantee.
Well, and this Whalen guy who really got hosed. I mean, not that Brittany Griner deserves what's happening to her for having a couple of vapor cartridges, in her luggage. Stupid as it may be, she's already been in like a Russian jail for like 6 months. But this guy is scared. The Minister of Death or something is his nickname.
Yeah, Merchant of Death.
Yeah, but the Whalen guy is like the player to be named later in this deal. And there was no public outcry
about him.
That this guy, I mean, his family was screaming at the Capitol building every day like they were one of the Proud Boys. Please, could you do something? It's forever, and nothing was happening for this guy until Brittany Griner got popped there for bringing drugs through the.
And again, we're going to trade the one guy I wouldn't trade for. I mean, are you out of your mind wanting to trade?
Yeah,
Victor Bout for Brittany Griner? That's.
I'm with you, Ryan Lochte.
There's a lot of people you can have. I told Lubie
Rodgers
yesterday, we've got the DEA, we've got the FBI, we've got the NSA and CIA. We can't plug freaking drugs on some Russian NHL player.
Yeah,
like you can't tell me. That goaltender for Tampa Bay, I think, is a perfect target. When he's playing, just go put a bunch of OxyContin in his locker and then bust him in between periods. Like,
so we have Vasilevsky.
We can't just grab a bunch of these NHL players and then do the trade. Aren't there
some chess player? Yeah,
aren't there like 14 berets? Let's just grab the family.
They get all the berets.
Yeah, they could honestly. They could even have the girl who starred on Full House. Like she's worthless too. So I think she's married to one of them. So
U.S. Open, nab one of these tennis players.
yeah,
Exactly.
That would work.
go grab Kornikova. She's probably still big in Russia.
Could be, yeah. No, it's insane. Yeah, you're right. This guy is like, and you see the face on the guy alone. I mean, like, how did he only get 25 years? That's the scary part. He's already done like 11 of the 25 years that they, popped him for. Even though, what he was doing was clearly, with the intent of murdering
Well, I
many
think he
Americans.
got 25 years in America because America got him first. But remember, he's wanted by like 16 other countries. Like every nation in Africa wants him for war crimes.
Yeah,
I
The
mean,
movie The Lord of War is made after him. Have you watched the movie? Nick Cage is selling arms to everyone.
It's loosely based, and he's actually much, much worse
I was
than
gonna
Nick
say he's
Cage.
nice in that movie.
Is
In the
there-
movie,
is there-
Nick Cage will sell guns to anyone. He specifically sold them to the worst people he could find. He like went out of his way. He's like, "Oh, what do you want to do? You want to shoot down an American plane? Let me sell you some Stingers."
There you go. Yeah, I mean, is there cash involved then? It's Brittany Griner and cash for this guy? I mean, what
I would
what could
assume if
possibly
it was-
make
if
this
it was
trade
that-
like of any kind of equal value? I mean,
I would assume if it was that, it would be the other way around. Like we're giving them. I mean, America doesn't need cash from Russia. We're
Right.
flush with Saudi Arabian cash now.
There you go. Yeah, Donnie Boy was brilliant yesterday. I thought, man.
Maybe
They
that's
never
what
show.
we should
They
do.
never show any of his shots like the result. Have you noticed that? They only show him teeing off. And he's wearing like those, tap shoes or whatever it is that he's got, the two-tone golf shoes, which makes you really look like a putz unless you can play. It's like wearing the pink sneakers to the basketball court. When the guy would show up with like a pair of pink cons on. And you're thinking, if this guy can't play, then he really is an asshole for wearing those shoes.
Maybe that's
But-
what we should do. We should let Russia engage in some sports washing and just like give Putin the G League or the USFL or something.
Yeah, give him
Like
the
Vlad,
XFL.
you can have your own minor league just like the Saudis do. Hey, you could have the USFL. It's on like 3 networks. The Saudis aren't even on American television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. I'm surprised Putin wasn't at the Pro-Am yesterday with Barkley and the boys.
Okay, Putin's a starter.
Every dictator in the universe.
The other
is teeing
question
it
I
up with Donnie
actually
Boy.
have. See, the other question I actually have about this.
Yeah.
If you're Bryson DeChambeau or Dustin Johnson and you're in this thing and you're doing the ceremonial tee off,
Yeah.
because it's both a ceremonial tee off and then it's also, the pro-am. It's a competitive round.
Right.
Do you let Trump do like his 150-yard old man swing drive and then just go out there if you're DeChambeau and go for 400? Be like, yeah, suck it, Mr. Former President. You drive like an old woman. Or do you be
Rick
like,
Riley,
do you be respectful and kind of toss the first hole and just like hit a 5-iron off the tee and still go like 40 yards beyond Trump, but not,
Not being
4
an
football fields.
I don't know what experience you had with golf, but one of the schmuck
None.
moves that he made was he was like 300 yards behind these guys, so he hits his next shot and it doesn't quite make the green, and he drives his cart and parks it in front of the green, like no, as and then realizes that the other guys haven't hit their balls yet. Which if we were out there, you would have done your best to just buzz that "Make America Great Again" hat right into the next
I'd
lake.
do that if I were a pro golfer. I mean, isn't that one of the things about golf? I mean, if you're on the driving range and the guy with the tractor comes out, immediately everybody starts to shoot
Oh,
the guy
yeah.
with the tractor. It's like everybody throws in $5 and first one to hit the tractor guy wins. If I were on the PGA Tour, I would still be following those rules. If there's someone's on
Yeah.
a cart, first guy who hits the cart wins the pool.
Yeah. Picked up his ball a few times, put a couple into lakes, non-retrievable, dropped a few mulligans. I think that's next for the Live Tour, though. They're going to have people being able to buy mulligans in their tournaments. Because, you try to grow the game, so why not make it more like the game that people actually play, where you cheat?
Honestly.
Okay. I mean, they do a different form of cheating. Obviously, they got Bryson DeChambeau, who's so full of steroids, he puts Brian Cushing to shame.
Yeah.
So, I think they got
he did. He
own
looked like
form
Charles
going
Howell
already.
III at one point in time, right? Which was another big signing of the Live Tour just last week. They
Yeah,
didn't
I
even
heard you
announce it. It was
discussing
so
him. I
insignificant.
couldn't even
Yeah.
remember him. I think he was in
Skinny
one of
as
the
a
Tiger
waif.
Woods
Yeah.
games like 15 years ago. I had
Yeah.
no idea he was still like active. I always sort of used to mix him and Justin Leonard up because
Yeah.
they kind of looked alike and they were sort of relevant at the same time, half a lifetime ago.
Right.
But Justin Leonard's like doing TV now, and Charles Howell III is apparently playing because
Still playing. Yeah.
I
Got
don't
some
know.
live tour cash. Yeah. So he doesn't have to worry anymore. Made $42 million during his career, even though he was like a nondescript American skinny schmink. So it couldn't have been all that bad. All of these guys that are whining that the PGA Tour was just an evil scheme to screw them out of their capital. All right,
I
Professor.
seem to
Anything on your mind?
remember.
Are you back in action? Betting? What are you doing?
No. I told you, taking a month off, waiting for the start of preseason.
All right.
Uh, don't miss Major League Baseball betting in the least. Don't miss Major League Baseball really in the least. I know, certainly some listeners are into it, but being down here and being exposed to the Florida Marlins every day, or the Miami Marlins, I'm never going to get used to that.
Yeah.
Dampens my enthusiasm for the game.
I could see that. You're not alone in that perspective. All right. Anything
Yeah,
else of a
clearly, look
general
at the
nature?
crowds any night. I mean, we've got a lot of non-sports stories sort of going on, whether it's the
Yeah.
Live Tour. I mean, and honestly, we've spent some time on it, but I'm kind of sick of discussing that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care.
The Trumpster's
really, who
presence just
cares?
it rankled me a little bit there. I don't
I think
really
it did
care. Obviously, it
everybody.
is what it is. We all understand what's going on there, and it's fine.
I think that's kind of what, honestly, I think the whole political rift in America is kind of what's
Yeah.
fueling this Live Tour thing. Is it like it's kind of like the MAGA tour, and
Yeah.
well, they're going to go to Trump events and whatever. So I think maybe that's a little bit of it because I don't really think anybody cares what golfers make
No.
to play in the Greater Greensboro Open versus whatever the name of these. Do they have names? Is this like the
I think it's
Trump
just a
Open or something?
Live Tour 3 or something. It's like the UFC. They're just going to number them, I believe. So
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I mean,
I don't know if it's like the Elizabeth New Jersey Open or anything like that.
I mean that's
But
the thing. We're all talking about it, and none of us are watching it because you
No,
can't
no,
watch
I
it.
wouldn't know where to find it, and I'm not inclined,
I
as
think
you
you
know,
got to download
technically.
an app or something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if I even have to turn my phone on, it makes it very prohibitive that I'm going to actually watch this stuff. Plus, I don't really have that much interest in sort of a non-competition. Because now you're really just watching an exhibition where, there is something to be said for, even though these guys have all the money in the world, that, look, this guy's either going to make $1 million here or, he's going to make, 400 grand, but still, there's something at stake. And that's how you have to win, or at least be competitive, or you could lose your card and be back there on the Corn Ferry Tour. And the next thing you know, you're,
That's
cleaning up the
true. I
range
mean, I
balls in
guess
Iowa somewhere. Yeah.
honestly, when you get these guys who are sort of on contract, you do.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. When we're talking about the big name that makes so much money in endorsements,
Yeah.
that there really isn't a lot of financial incentive for them to go out and win, other
Right.
than to keep their endorsements. So when you get into these contract things, I guess you do kind of eliminate the competition or the competitive sense, and I got to make a paycheck this week. So I guess that's not good for the game. I don't know what's good and not good for golf, honestly. Like half the
Nothing.
golfers people like, I'm like, okay, what do you like about this guy? So, the largely the stars of golf these days, outside of maybe Rory, who seems like kind of a fun kid,
Yeah.
they're largely an unappealing group. I mean, Dustin Johnson and DeChambeau and these guys, they
Sergio.
don't seem like they'd be, they don't seem like they'd exactly be fun to hang out with.
Yeah, I mean, they might be fun to hang out with, but it's not like there's any inclination that they're especially welcoming of the public. I don't think.
Exactly.
Although I knew a cab driver that used to call the show, and he said he had picked up Dustin Johnson and Paulina Gretzky, and they couldn't have been any better. They were partying.
Really?
I think they might have been doing massive amounts of
I was
cocaine
about
or
to
something in the
say,
back
yeah,
seat.
maybe took him out for a little party.
Yeah. It was like Belushi's pile looked like,
Yeah.
like a dime bag compared to what these guys were snorting in the back seat of this Miami taxi. All right, Professor, you want to get to the big board? Is that where we're going?
Why don't we do that?
It sounds good. All right.
'Cause
I don't know what you have this
one
week. I
of
thought it might be live tour oriented. I really did.
we already did the live tour, and
Yeah.
I don't really feel like doing it again. To be honest, like I said, I'm kind of sick of it already.
Yeah.
And I told you last week I will be very unforgiving of the live tour if they do poach Charles Barkley away from the NBA on TNT. Like that would really suck.
That would be the end
if
of
we
that
lose
show.
Charles
Yeah.
Barkley on basketball in order for him to do golf on a YouTube channel. Like, I can't think of anything more pointless than that. But we do have something going on. It's become kind of a trend and was talked about a lot this week because of one certain player. And that is these guys showing up for NFL training camp, which break and making their grand entrances. So that's the big board this week. The big board of NFL training camp arrivals. Which
I know one of the entries.
But you know one of them absolutely.
Yes.
But what you want to just jump into it, and we'll start with the guy who really started this, which is Reggie Wayne of the University of Miami and formerly of the Indianapolis Colts, who was the guy who really started the whole "let's show up." He did a bunch of stuff, dressed as an Army guy one time, and showed up in like a military jeep. Another time, came in on a helicopter and landed in the middle of the practice field. I think the final one, which gets the most attention, is he somehow got an Indianapolis 500 car to let him use the car, and he showed up in training camp in an Indy 500 car. But we chose this one where for some reason he showed up dressed up as a construction worker, complete with earplugs, and drove a dump truck to the start of training camp.
Was that the Colts could dump a bunch of money in his pocket?
Yeah, again, I've been trying to figure it out, and I don't know what Reggie Wayne was going for here. If you're like, I'm a construction worker, so I work real hard, and you show up with like a sledgehammer, maybe a jackhammer, I don't know, a cement mixer, something. Does anybody really think the guy who drives a dump truck works real hard? Isn't that kind of the slacker job on the construction site? Let other people load up your dump truck, you drive it to wherever the local dump or junkyard or whatever, and then you press a button in the truck, dump all its crap everywhere. That doesn't seem like it's said. I think honestly, maybe Reggie Wayne just wanted to drive a dump truck, and that's why he chose
that could be. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting concept. Again, no question.
When you're playing with your Tonka toys when you're a kid, everybody wants the bulldozer and the backhoe, and the dump truck doesn't really strike me as the cool piece of equipment to want to use there. I don't get it, Reggie Wayne. I feel like maybe he just randomly bought a dump truck on eBay one time when he was drunk and needed a reason to use it. So let me show up at training camp with it.
I don't mean this in any disparaging way, but usually it was the kid that was a little bit compromised and ended up with the dump truck to play with. But whenever you were at the beach,
you're not wrong. Again, it wasn't the fun Tonka toy. It was kind of the lame one. And again, Reggie Wayne, if you're showing up as a construction guy, I don't feel like the dump truck guy is the right message to send.
Yeah. All right, excellent, and that's only number 5. And he
Again,
did have any number of like Macho Camacho type of entrances at training camp, which is great.
Wanted to salute the guy who kind of started this whole trend in Reggie Wayne, and he seems to be the one who really got the ball rolling. Nowadays, just about every team does it. And of course, that leads us to the guy who has us talking about this week. And that is one Aaron Rodgers, who for some reason decided to show up this week dressed as Nick Cage from Con Air when he showed up at the practice. Number one, what is with Aaron Rodgers and playing dress up? Like we went through the whole COVID thing last year, and it turns out he probably got COVID because he wanted to go to a big Halloween party because he had planned his John Wick costume months in advance, and he didn't want to let it go to waste. So he went to a Halloween party and got COVID while he was dressed up as John Wick. Now he's showing up dressed up like Nick Cage. and not just Nick Cage. Shows up like Nick Cage in Con Air. And, I got to say, Aaron, if you're going to pick a movie and a character, Con Air is not a good pick. Con Air set off. Con Air by itself is not like a terrible, terrible movie, but it set off like 100 bad Hollywood trends. Okay? Con Air was the one where Nick Cage really established himself as an action star. So instead of like good Oscar-winning Nick Cage, we got like 10 years of Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider Part 2, thanks to Con Air. Con Air wasn't actually a Michael Bay movie, but it felt so much like a Michael Bay movie that Michael Bay got to do whatever the hell he wanted to do for like the next 25 years, thanks to Con Air. And what did that lead for? 9 Transformer movies, Marky Mark making a giant pile of money. I blame all of that on Michael Bay and Con Air. It set up Simpson and Bruckheimer to keep doing movies for another 100 years. I think they're both dead and they're still cranking out movies. And on top of it, it's just not a good look, Aaron Rodgers. Like, what are you doing? Like, you had to grow your hair out to do that and grow a beard to do that, to play dress up for one day in your wife beater t-shirt. At this point, I think we really need to examine, is there something wrong with Aaron Rodgers?
Yes.
Like,
It appears that's the case.
are we looking at some sort of CTE because he's still very, fluent and, very verbose guy and seems intelligent? But I think it's something we have to start suspecting, like something's going wrong in his brain. I mean, I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers. Maybe the fact that you're spending this mass amount of time playing dress-up movie characters instead of, I don't know, marrying one of your celebrity girlfriends and giving your mom grandchildren. Maybe that's the reason your mother doesn't want to talk to you anymore. Maybe this is the reason you are alienated from your family. Is they're like, Aaron, you're just weird. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to you. But like, we can't deal with this anymore. Where you show up at our house and you're dressed up as Luke Skywalker, or you show up at our house
as Captain Crunch.
You're dressing up as characters all the time. Like, this weird thing with the vaccine, where you're lying about it, and you're dating some woman named Blue from Earth after, downgrading from legitimate movie and television stars. Like, what the hell's going on, Aaron? Like, we're sorry, but we got to take a walk from all of this because some screw has gone loose in your brain.
I'm amazed because I thought that might be number 1. So if that's only number 4, I'm very curious about the rest of the list. And all we can say with Aaron Rodgers is, holy Cyrus the Virus, man. What on earth was that? Yeah.
Yeah, and again, and I also forgot to mention Cameron Poe, Nick Cage, and Con Air, the worst Southern accent of all time. I'm barely Southern. I'm barely Southern, and I was insulted by that accent. I'm legitimately surprised that movie theaters in Alabama didn't get burned down over that movie.
All right, that's number 4. Aaron Rodgers checking in. Reggie Wayne, Aaron Rodgers. These are training camp appearances.
Number 3, this is going back a few years, but it is so off the charts that we had to make an appearance, and that is Jalen Ramsey showing up to Jacksonville Jaguars camp in a Brinks truck full of money.
That had to be on there. I mean,
let me say that again with some emphasis. Jalen Ramsey showing up to a Jacksonville Jaguars training camp in a Brinks truck full of money. That's like taking Kate Moss to a donut shop. Neither side knows what the hell is going on, and it's completely inappropriate to be bringing here. It's like, taking a supermodel to an all-you-can-eat buffet. Like, she's of no benefit there, and they're of no benefit to her. What the hell are you doing, Jalen? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Was that all their money? I mean, it's not known for a big spending franchise. Was that the entire con budget for the next 5 years in the back of that truck?
It feels like
California plates on that truck, if I can make that out in the picture. So we knew he wasn't going to be
last. No, in LA, this would make sense. But in Jacksonville, imagine how Blake Bortles felt being his starting quarterback when Jalen Ramsey showed up and did this. Blake Bortles can't even count that high.
That was a classic incident. I remember that, and it was played up very well. Are very big in the media, that's for sure. And you're right, a completely inappropriate venue, Professor.
Jacksonville.
Yeah,
It's not
again, this would be
money.
like a college athlete showing up an NIL deal when you play at McNeese State. I don't understand how a Jaguars player is making this particular entrance. So that takes us to number 2.
All right,
and number
very good.
2, we're actually going off the board a little bit because this just came out the other day, and it needed to be addressed. It's not an NFL training camp entrance, but it is a training camp entrance, and that is Florida State University has Ryan Leaf trot out their quarterbacks to the practice field on the first day of practice.
Jesus, that happened?
Again, let me say that again. On the left there, that is Ryan freaking Leaf.
We like Leaf, though.
What the hell are you doing, Norvell? What is wrong with you? Number 1, okay, I get it. Ryan Leaf is now a motivational speaker doing like the Maurice Clarett route where he goes and tells college kids all the things he's done wrong and don't make the mistakes I made. But he did that after practice. Why are you letting Ryan freaking Leaf in your quarterback room before practice? I wouldn't let Ryan Leaf anywhere near my quarterbacks. I would be like, Ryan Leaf, go talk to my defensive backs. The one place I don't want you is in the film room with my quarterbacks. They're not exactly set at quarterback to begin with. Do you really want Ryan Leaf giving instructions to guys who have interception problems in the first place? And secondly,
do you think they show clips of Leaf, where he played like after his first game, he was just an atrocity, and some of the most significant clown plays in NFL history were
I'm thinking they're showing Ryan Leaf practicing his throwing motion in a prison cell in Montana because that's where he spent most of the last decade.
The man's made a life-changing turnaround.
See,
Professor.
I was waiting for someone to say that because I'd like to remind people.
He just got arrested a year ago.
You got to give it. He was arrested for domestic violence in late 2020. He's like 18 months away from his last arrest.
Maybe it wasn't as significant as I thought.
How much of a significant turnaround can it be if you're less than 2 years away from your last arrest? He has been arrested more recently for domestic violence than Floyd Mayweather has.
After we're laughing at domestic
How
violence.
How much of a turnaround can it be?
Yeah. Maybe I misjudged that because he seemed very convincing when we talked to him, and we were surprised because Lubie had booked Ryan Leaf for a Radio Row interview, and I thought, Ryan Leaf, what do we want to talk to this guy for? And then, he was very open and honest about all of his foibles there and the drugs and all of this other stuff, and we thought, wow, very impressive. But I guess it wasn't a complete metamorphosis.
I feel like we're giving him credit because he wasn't smoking crack while he beat up his girlfriend. Like, okay, Ryan.
Just being a normal dude. Good for you.
Well, you would want him in some kind of student-athlete situation, obviously.
That's great. I mean, we're better to educate kids than Ryan Leaf. That seems like a fantastic idea. I think the Norvell era is just flying along here in Florida State.
Lubie loved Norvell a little while back. Yeah, he was his biggest advocate.
This guy.
I guess for Florida State, it's a good thing that Ted Bundy's not around anymore to give motivational speeches because he'd be a good follow-up to Ryan Leaf.
All right, well, that's number 2. Excellent, as always. Is that guy wearing a Marino jersey? I thought it was Dan Marino actually coming out there. Is that 13?
Yeah, no, he doesn't look much like Dan Marino.
All right, that's number 2. Worst possible pick, and Ryan Leaf leading the Florida State people into training camp.
Our number 1 pick of this week also came out this week. And if the big board leads to no other lessons, and it probably won't during its entire course, there's one thing I'd like to impart, and that is that Russell Wilson is the biggest dork in the history of professional sport. Notice here, Russell Wilson shows up to training camp wearing his own jersey. Nobody wears their own jersey to training camp. The last time any athlete wears their own jersey outside of game time is in high school when it's pep rally day. That's the only time you see a football player wearing his own jersey. But Russell Wilson, who, by the way, has bought himself a gigantic truck, which I'm guessing has never been off-road 1 second in its existence, shows up to training camp wearing his own jersey with the tagline, "Let's roll." I'm sorry. You can't get any more Russell Wilson than showing up like you're the starting quarterback as your junior year in high school. That's
That's supposed to get Texas high school.
absolutely
You're on your way to the prom.
perfect
Yeah, nice.
for Russell Wilson. I can't imagine anything being more Russell Wilson than you showing up in your gigantic truck for training camp wearing your own jersey. Have they even issued him a jersey yet? Did he go to the mall and buy a Russell Wilson jersey?
100%. Pro Image or whatever the hell.
Yeah, he
I
hasn't been
I
to the
can
clubhouse
totally
yet.
see that. And honestly, I see Russell Wilson as the guy who didn't even order it off of Amazon, who went to the local champs and was like, I want my own jersey.
I like this Wilson.
Brian
you
Urlacher is in there signing autographs, and Russell's picking through
He's
the
buying his
Denver
own
Broncos jersey section. Yeah,
It,
nice.
it seems like a very Russell Wilson thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh my God. Where you? Oh yeah, it was at Dick's Sporting Goods you were at with Ryan Tannehill, right?
Yeah,
That wasn't
Dick's.
a chance. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think Tannehill's doing that, though.
His
He's
wife-
not in Jersey.
Tannehill.
Right,
number
Lubie was
17.
there at Dick's waiting for a Ryan Tannehill autograph, and Mrs. Tannehill was in the back yelling at the manager because they didn't have any size 15 women's shoes.
From a previous big board. Excellent, as always, Professor. The big board of NFL training camp arrivals. The professor, ladies and gentlemen. Yet another orchestration of brilliance there. Tremendous, as always. All right, so
I think we should
you're
start
on.
a GoFundMe for Aaron Rodgers, by the way. Let's get Aaron Rodgers some help. Clearly he needs it.
I think he needs money.
That was the big thing, man.
Con
The
Air,
whole,
the
Nick
worst
Cage.
movie ever.
Yeah.
What are you doing, dude?
What was he
What's
thinking? You
going
think
on
Lombardi is rolling over in his grave, even though this guy got him a Super Bowl and always has him in
No,
contention?
I think Packers fans are not used to this. I think Packers quarterbacks, once they hit a certain age, something breaks in their brain. Maybe it's all the beer and cheese.
What,
I don't know what the deal is.
You think Zeke Bartkowski ever showed up to training camp like that? Back in the day.
I don't
backing
know,
up
but
Bart
I
Starr?
feel like I feel like Don Makowski absolutely did, and they kept it quiet. They hushed it up back in the day because there was no internet to talk about it.
Oh my God.
I feel like, yes, Aaron Rodgers, it's just going to be a series of continually more embarrassing incidents until Green Bay finally has had enough.
You see Fuzzy Thurston showing up like that? I don't think so.
I have no
Even a
idea.
guy
who
with a name
Fuzzy
like
Thurston
Fuzzy,
is.
wouldn't dare to go out there and look like,
By the way,
he's
I know
doing,
he's
as you
coming
said,
up.
a very poor imitation of Nick Cage.
I know he's coming up. Just wanted to thank Lubie and Mayo for coming out to Falcon. We had a great time. And, hope everybody who watched the Lunchbox on South Florida Live and then on Let's Eat South Florida, is that the name of the group?
Yes.
Come on out sometime.
Very popular
particularly during the
edition.
summer months. We could always use the locals.
Yeah. What's the worst month in the restaurant business? Is it August?
I mean, July, right?
It's probably September. Down here anyway, yeah.
Well, you'd think people would start coming back in September, no? School's out.
Well, school
School
back
goes
in,
in.
yeah.
That's
just
part of it.
starts and people.
When people come down here, get their kids in school. No, is it just the
I think
Altacockers
most
and the
people, when their
Canadians?
kids,
That,
I think most people, when their kids are in school, they want to be home. I don't think there's that many people who send their kids off to Fancy Lad Academy, and now we're free.
Oh, we're getting hit by that porn site again on our chat line now, which is great.
Are we?
Yeah. Naked Sex
Seriously?
XYZ, best adult dating site. They've already
Okay,
sent
now
us
I have
5
to see-
messages here.
seriously?
Yeah.
We get spam once every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Is it a
that's
good one? Have we?
I'm not
checked
going
it?
to. I mean, virus, you ask.
Mayo's single. We'll see if he's checked it out.
Yeah, I'm not trusting any site that's part of .xyz.
Exactly. That's why you.
That
block
alone
it.
sounds kind of suspicious. And one of the messages is NK, so I'm thinking North Korea.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it could increase our viewership, so we're likely to respond here, even though the possibility of hacking the entire system and never being on the air again, certainly looms large. If
Again, the North
we click
Korean
on this
porn
site.
possibility scares me because I feel like it's just going to be naked pictures of Kim Jong Un, and nobody wants to see that.
Oh, he was there with the Live Tour also yesterday.
Of course he was.
He was hitting nothing but missiles. I mean, straight up the fairway there. It was
And the
unbelievable.
North
In fact,
Korean-
he was going to explode something on the course. Downey finally talked him, off
The North
website.
Korean press reported that he shot an 18, tying his father's record for lowest round.
Yeah. When they talk about shooting 72, I mean, they're talking about people there, with the Saudi tourists. So, it's sad to say. All right. Thanks, Professor. Great big
You
board.
guys have a great one.
We'll talk to you again real soon here. The Professor, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, is coming up. Always good talking to Mike. He's knocking it out of the park there with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, 12 o'clock every day. That Let's Eat South Florida thing when he starts poaching into that, Lubie.
Yep.
How much do we have to talk to this guy? How much do we I think he gets it, right? He understands the power.
We're doing
that
it every
he
day.
wields.
Let's eat stuff out every day.
Excellent. Okay, because that's the way to go with that, man. You already got like 84,000 people there, and you're Mike Mayo. May as well bring him the lunchbox, right?
There you go.
It's the way to do it, right? We're going to be doing that again at 12 o'clock. But in the meantime, Mike's a big golfer, but we've talked about this live tour, and I'm with the Professor. It's kind of a
I don't care.
I mean, it's more, comedy in some ways, a sick, bizarre, dark comedy where, you're able to laugh at some of the things that are going on there, including, I mean, this Donald Trump with that look, he has that look when he does these, it makes these statements, the woman statements, like, like he did with Stormy Daniels, right? Huh? What? I don't know this broad. Who the hell is she?
They have record of him paying her.
Right? They're like I got cash checks from Donnie for 30 times.
No problem. There's always video. He's like, I didn't say that, and they'll show video after.
I never said that. Grab him by the what?
It's 2020 something. Like we have video of everything.
Everything, yeah, including those 10 takes he was doing when he was trying to finally deliver a message. Well, you know what? I don't know if this is exactly patriotic. No, scratch that. Hey, Lou, cut the camera off there. Get her out of here, by the way. She's making too much noise. I mean, it was like the Casey Kasem meltdown tape, right? I got to do a damn dead dog dedication. Right? That was a classic among the many Neil Rodgers radio bits that he used to play. But it was great. All right, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, is coming up here in just a few moments. Wow, big news, right? I mean, it's on, Lubie. Jimmy Johnson's Big
From
Chill.
what we know.
Final details are coming through, and Tommy Fox in touch with the great Larry Calvano, and we're back on board here with Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Going to get down there and try and do a couple of things with the Jimmer as he has the book release coming up in November with Dave Hyde. So I think we're going to be making more frequent visits. Libby to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And that is good, man, because I was thinking, you know what? Weekend coming up, I don't know. I might be, just for the time being, a little bit tracked out in terms of going, and betting the ponies, even though I've been doing okay, holding my own. It's not like been a disaster or anything, but, it's like, let's get outside, man. Maybe catch a little saltwater action at the beach. What would be better than just, jog down to the Keys there, Key Largo, absolutely fantastic. Mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway, and visit Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, the Professor, restaurateur in his own right of great success and prominence. Huge fan of what they do there at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And you're thinking, okay, Keys, usually you get one kind of thing here, and then you have to go somewhere else to get something different. Everything that you could possibly want is right at your fingertips at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, including the thing we have to turn Mayo onto, and that is the Italian Fisherman Pizza. So that's going to be the first order of business. And I still remember, there are a few times you go to a restaurant and you order something and you think, well, how good could it be? And then it comes out, and you're like, what? That's what we ordered? Are you kidding me? Look at that thing, man. It's like a work of art. I don't even know whether to eat it or just preserve it forever. It's fantastic looking. And then you bite into it and it's like, wow, this is really, really something. Dominic Conjemi, man behind all of that brilliance. And of course, our good friend CJ Spiller at the nearby pizza place often comes over, helps out. So they have all kinds of stuff in that category. And then great bar food and all kinds of, delicacies as well coming out of the ocean. It's really one of the big varieties you'll ever see on any menu anywhere. And you're just going to love the atmosphere as well, right there on the bay with the sunsets and the music. It's fantastic. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. And looking forward to jogging down there many times during the course of the football season, Lubie, and just taking advantage of the brilliant hospitality there at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, right around the corner here, a Degenerate Friday on South Florida Live. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate all the comments on the chat line. I don't know if you're interested. It is, Naked Sex? Is that a
I got rid of it.
XYZ?
Shouldn't be there.
I'm seeing a bunch of it. Anyway, Do they have money to advertise? I mean, or we just doing our their promotion for free here because they've invaded our site. Back with more in a moment. Now that didn't happen when we were working with Big Cat, did it? All right, it's 8:37.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Now that it's football season, it's time for cliche talk.
Yes.
It's like
Stu Dickman is going to take. That's my alter ego, Stuart Dickman, in the Stuart Dickman
so if
show.
you could run. So here's my encapsulation of handicapping every football game coming up this season.
All right.
If you can run the ball and control the clock, obviously you're in a good position to win. But also defense. You need the good defense because defense wins championships. Now, of course, if it's a really close matchup, it could come down to the special teams. And then when you get to the fourth quarter, it's all about who wants it more.
Yes, who wants it more? Good for you. That was the good capper.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. The Defo Show, Degenerate Friday here on South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. And gaining rapidly, wildly, exponentially in popularity, Mike Mayo of Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, of course, the Gambling Gourmet, joins us here on the program. Michael, how are you, my friend? You look good today.
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, you sound great.
In fact, I always get a little nervous after we do a remote show if my computer gets all glitchy or something.
You sound good. You look
Here
good,
I
too.
am. Yeah, no, I showered and shaved and everything. I'm groomed this morning, you gentlemen.
You don't usually part your hair on the side, do you? I mean, is that a new thing?
I've only been doing it for about 50 years. So,
okay.
I think it's here.
Just more distinct.
I appreciate the eagle-eye observant, novelist's eye that you have there.
What?
Really.
I'm ready to move into the 5-star, assisted living facility down the street. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Wait, things are falling apart.
So, no, it's a big day on the food calendar, and we have decisions for. I'm going to leave it, I guess, in your hands right now. You can make a choice. It's kind of like going to a Chinese restaurant, column A or column B. Today, it is both National Chicken Wing Day.
Nice.
And National Lasagna Day. So you have the choice on the lunchbox of either watching me stuff my face with I'll get some fresh wings from Shenanigans, and I also have a leftover tray of Tom T's great family lasagna that he sometimes makes at Tom's Louisiana Kitchen. You know what? I'm going to do both.
I think you should.
For sure. If you want to throw in lasagna, that's on you. But I want to see you eat wings, messy ass wings that you're pounding.
You want the saucy ones? I can't do the saucy ones. You know me. I like.
No, you have to. You got the grill wings going from Shenanigans,
barbecue or at least the buffalo sauce.
Yeah.
I really want to see.
You need some, like overdone. I mean, with sauce. You have to ask for extra sauce.
Dripping.
Yeah,
dripping with juices.
Do you remember the first time, or do you have a first memory of when you said, "Wow, chicken wings! What a great thing to eat"? Were you in Buffalo or something? I mean, when was it? Do you remember the first time you tried it? Because it wasn't really popular.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing, right?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a thing in New York at bars at all. I mean, not in downstate New York, in New York or Brooklyn, in the 70s and 80s when I was coming of age. But I guess the first time I had that wow moment is I was in college, and I had a couple of my childhood buddies from Brooklyn went to school at Buffalo, SUNY Buffalo.
Yeah.
And obviously, the Anchor Bar is worldwide famous for Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar for being I guess, the home of the original invention of. But no, my friends, Bill Sherman, who's richer than God now. He's a very wildly successful Wall Street guy, venture capitalist. But anyway, he took
Does
me.
he want to buy a little TV channel?
I keep trying to pitch him on Best of Delray Beach and on the South Florida Live Track.
He's smart with his money. In other words, he wouldn't invest with us.
He wouldn't get rich without being a little bit. No, but him and my friend Brian Kaplan, who both went there, they took me to Duff's. And Duff's is, I guess, at that time, there was, I think, only one or two Duff's. Now it's become a whole regional chain up there. It's the big rival, like the way that we talk about, I guess, would
Pat's
you rather?
Geno's?
Well, Pat's and Geno's in Philly. I'm trying to think of a South Florida equivalent, but I guess there really is none. But no, it's like people up there that say, "Are you Anchor Bar or Duff's?" We went to Duff's, and it was like, I got the hot. They were saucy, they were messy, they were beautiful, and that was my life-changing wing moment. And then, all of a sudden, they started appearing on menus everywhere, all over the country. And then there were chains. Have you ever been to a Buffalo Wild Wings?
Well, I was just gonna say.
I want to say no.
Wings became a big deal in college. Wings were always around in my life because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, but it wasn't a huge thing. But in college, you would get on Tuesday night, B-Dubs, Buffalo Wild Wings had just opened. I don't know if it was one of the first ones, but I had never heard of them, and it was a big deal in Tallahassee. BW3 is what we called it, B-Dubs. And every Tuesday, they did 25-cent wings and around the freaking building. And then on Sunday, there's another place we'd go to. I think they're like 33-cent wings. I don't know what the price was, but it was ridiculous. And we'd go and watch Sunday football and get wings. And that's when wings became a big deal to me. Like before then, and even after, it sort of, there was a lull. Like wings weren't a huge deal until the last like 5 years or so.
Yeah, no, I think I might have been into a Buffalo Wild Wings one time when I was on the road somewhere for some sports thing, and not that impressed. I wish I hadn't gone to the Buffalo Wild Wings,
wow.
But I mean, whatever. I mean, it's just. Yeah, when you've been to
it's hard to screw them up. I mean, there are places that do them better than others. But, I mean, if you get like a really bad batch of wings, like where you're thinking, what bird was this? A sparrow? I mean, where did you get these? I mean, that used to bother me when they were especially microscopically small.
B-Dubs
It was really about the only way that you could screw them up, you would think. I mean, royally screw them up. But I mean, I remember distinctly there was a place in, I don't know if you were around here when this place existed, but it was called Pines Par 3. And it was
I've been there. Yeah,
it was like a real shithole golf course.
I love that
it was
place.
a par 3, but it was like mostly crabgrass, and there was like one sand trap, and the greens were horrid. I mean, they looked like your lawn. But they had a little restaurant in there, and the guy made the greatest wings. And I remember just ordering the wings out of like, finally just an attrition to, well, what's the one thing here that I would really want to try? And so I tried a chicken wing, and they were great, man. And I would go out of my way to go to this Pines Par 3 little restaurant they had to get the chicken wings. Fantastic.
Is it still there?
I don't think so. No, that had to be mowed down a long time ago.
See, you love talking about places and how great they were. That no longer exists. So, like,
well, and then the other place I liked had a similar style of wing at that time. I really liked them, like super hot and in the Mayo fashion, like a little bit crispy there, crunchy.
Yeah.
And I liked them large and Tark's clams, and it was on Biscayne
it's on
Boulevard.
Federal Highway. Well, no, now we've got Tark's and it's funny you mention it.
It's like 125th Street somewhere down there. And,
there used to
but
be
it was
one
of
down
their
there.
Tark's locations, yeah.
Yeah, now there's one and only, and I thought it was the original, but maybe they migrated north. But near me, right across from Pat and Shenanigans, you can have a Wings War. That's your Pat's and Geno's right there. You got Tark's Clams is right across on South
They were
Federal
very
Highway
good.
in Dania.
I don't know how they are now.
People swear by those. Like people love going to Tark's for the clams and some of the fried, but they do the chicken wings too. The the fryers and the grease trap in that place make me very scared. But
Yeah, I like that. I like the greasier and
Is there risk in
slimier.
life?
It reminds me of my days in Brooklyn. It really does. When you would go like
well,
to,
there
to
you
some
go
diner.
again, like the Wise potato chips. You like
Yeah.
things that are just swimming in grease. And
I
are a
do.
little bit
I happen to
heavier
like that. Yeah.
and you must have a cast iron stomach. But and
Yeah.
that brings me back for the
Too much pure oil is no good for you.
the-
I mean,
the-
it
the-
just isn't. Yeah.
you know,
I have a
I mean-
Bobby Bowden stomach. I could eat anything.
There you go. Well, then why can't you eat Skyline chili? That's a perplexing.
Skyline chili me just is unappealing. I mean, the whole thing with the cinnamon. Look, you shouldn't get carried away with that.
I'll let that go. But I
It
want to
really
get back to
sours your reputation, though, as the Gambling Gourmet.
it
That
doesn't.
this
It
is,
enhances
something
it.
that-
Everybody has to have one guilty pleasure that makes no sense. So,
but not that.
Yeah.
Not that.
So
I mean,
I want to give a
yes.
recap to the audience because I'm in the Gambling Gourmet Defo show mode. But we
Okay.
had the big potato chip battle earlier this week on the Lunchbox, and
Right.
The Lay's versus Wise, and you are saying clearly Wise is the superior chip.
I believe that.
I did the taste test, and you know what? I've been eating both all week now, and
Oh, yeah?
I basically stand by, I guess, my original proclamation. I am on Team Lay's. I think Lay's is a cleaner, classier chip.
Tasteless and
So-
bland is what you like. I like that about it.
A cleaner, classier
Critic.
chip.
Well,
And as somebody put it, and I know that the popular vote
I
on
want
Let's
raunchy.
Eat South Florida
Yeah.
leaned a little bit towards Wise.
Yes.
But it
A
just
little
shows
bit. I mean, it was like 4-1. What are you
no,
talking
it was
about? You're like
I
Adelaide
didn't
Bird
tally it up. I'm going to say
scoring
3
a
to 1.
fight. I
But
mean,
the
a guy
masses are
punches a
asses.
guy by 100 punches around.
One's not a
And,
lean.
This was a landslide, Mr. Trump.
But I think one of the commenters on Let's Eat put
Yeah.
it best is like, if you want to have a greasy chip
Yeah.
that you more than occasionally get black and green splotches on your chips, then
Perfect.
Wise is the
Yeah.
chip for you. So
Because that's
you
a
like
real
those
potato
black-
also they're using, not some manufactured garbage like they use in Lay's. I don't
just
even
gonna
think
have
they
to
have a
read-
potato in the entire Lay's plant, Mike Mayo. You should investigate that.
We're gonna have to just agree to disagree on this one, Defo. But
Oh
I'm
my
Lay's.
God! I mean,
the
you probably like
classer.
French's mustard over Gulden's. I mean,
No, I never said that. Now there you go. There
Well,
you go,
I mean,
twisting things
yeah.
again. I've always said French's mustard is just for the Goyish Midwesterners in your life. You have to keep it in the fridge in case somebody's mother-in-law shows up from Ohio.
It's baby
And I
vomit.
love
It
you,
really
Paul.
is. It's baby vomit, my friend. French's mustard. But you would
No,
put it on a hot dog and screw it up.
I have 6 different mustards in my fridge, including the classic
might,
Goldens.
I have a hot sauce for you to try also. This custom hot sauce I bought there in
blow
New
your
Orleans.
ass out because I already did that this week. So
Blow your
no
ass
thanks.
out. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So how are you medically? Are you okay?
How are you
That's
feeling
the other
this week?
question.
Now I'm
How'd
fine,
that
but
go?
I wouldn't
Yeah.
wish what I had to go through on my worst enemy. And
Oh,
I
you
could
were awake
describe
during
it
this
in-
process?
No, it's
or,
not. It's not.
Well, I had the breakfast of champions, Defo, and I think I told you about that.
3
But
Tylenol and a beer. That would be
No,
my
No.
you took it to another level.
one
You.
one Xanax and 1 oxycodone, and that was
Oh,
my
jeez.
breakfast.
Wow, that'll screw you up.
I was
Yeah.
feeling happy. I was like, "Bring it on!"
All of a
guys,
sudden, you're
whatever
Brett
you gotta
Favre
do."
on the show. I mean,
Exactly. Clemens.
not to make fun of addiction, but while we're taking shots at everything here today.
Wow.
All right, so you came out of it okay? I mean, was
Yeah,
this
yeah,
an
no,
unpleasant
the-
experience?
Well, yeah, we won't get nitty gritty, but let's just say, look.
This was something that
sometimes-
was going in a certain, part of your
sometimes-
body that
yeah, and
made
this
it uncomfortable.
not
Yeah,
a
okay.
colonoscopy, which colonoscopy they knock you out with that sedation.
Yeah,
thing,
no,
you
that's
don't
good,
feel a
man.
thing.
You feel like
This was
Michael Jackson,
different.
man.
This was like if you had to have like
Without the
root
kids.
canal.
Yeah.
This was like root canal without any kind of Novocaine or any kind of like it was.
With no Novocaine or root
Well,
canal?
no, they
Get
do.
outta here.
They do end up shooting you. They end up injecting you in there, and
Yeah.
that's another feeling that you don't want. But then comes the like the nail gun, where they have to draw samples. And
Oh,
let
geez,
me tell
it
you
sounds like Marathon Man, like you're
Oh,
Dustin
wow.
Hoffman in the
Oh,
chair
man.
there. You're thinking, I don't really have this
And the
information. You
doctor
can do whatever
says,
you want to me. Yeah.
Try not to move. And I was like,
Yeah. You might feel a little discomfort. Yeah.
You can't breathe.
Discomfort.
anyway,
That's
it's
what you
all
call
good.
discomfort. What do you call pain, my friend?
It's
Yeah,
all
exactly.
over now,
Yeah.
and now
All right,
just
good.
wait for the results, and that
All right, let's hope
whatever
they're
comes
positive.
after that is just gravy. Because anything else that comes after this, I will be knocked out cold.
Well,
So that's
let me
good.
ask you this, though, and I know this is sort of private, but we'll put it in terms.
No, there is
that,
no
don't
privacy
necessarily
anymore.
give it away.
There's no privacy.
How is that other pursuit going? Has any
Oh.
more traction been gained there?
Well, this is God's retribution, I guess, toward me.
You're like
because,
the kid in the
just
movie where the Playboy magazine, comes down from the sky, and the kid says, "Thank you, God." That's right.
yeah, and just when this falls into my life, then I've got all this stuff going on down there that could affect my ability. Well, first of all, I don't even want to tell you about the after effects of this thing. So
Yeah.
it's so let's just say we continue to dialogue and hopefully get together soon for something for dinner.
All right. That
She's
sounds
house
pretty
hunting.
good, man.
Oh, she's apartment hunting now. She's very well, whatever. I was trying to get together
I
tonight.
mean, is there an element of blow off? Do you sense any element of blow
Yeah,
off?
I sense this could be
Like you were anxious the
big
minute she got
tease.
back from this trip, got off the plane. You figured you were going to see her. I've been through this, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden
I
she's
guess I
back in
wasn't.
town. But
I wasn't a cool cucumber. No, I
you know what?
played it pretty cool.
I'm going to be, doing this and doing that. And you're like, okay, well, perhaps we can get together soon. Then you start feeling like a real douchebag, after a while. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, that's
56 years old.
That's exactly right.
Chasing this 19-year-old babe.
56.
Yeah.
Prostate is shot. I am
Prostate's the size of a basketball. Nice.
Spurting out blood out of every orifice.
All right, very good. I mean, did you catch any of this? I don't know. I know you like golf like I do. And I don't know. We've talked about the Live Tour thing, and I'm not sure that
Too much.
the issues aren't fairly clear there. Whatever people think. And who am I to judge anyway? But did you see the Trumpster yesterday? And there's something comical about Trump in a baseball hat, and especially the "Make America Great Again" hat, in light of with the backdrop of the Capitol hearings, and not even if you thought this was just a blatant witch hunt. I mean, he comes across as a complete buffoon and a fool. In virtually all of the video and visual evidence that you've seen of what the hell was going on that day. And then, he's out there talking about how nobody got to the bottom of 9/11. I don't know. Did you watch any of this on the news? Or
I try not. Okay, so here's what I've done to improve my life and overall general mood.
Yeah.
You've noticed lately that I've been in a much more
much
much better. Yeah, you're great lately. I don't know what happened. I thought it was the girl. I really did. I thought it was the girl.
I've stopped watching the news. I don't know who that person is who used to be in the White House. I don't care.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
I mean, I didn't see any of this video. I mean, he is just a living, breathing human troll. He's just designed to bring attention to himself in any way possible. He loves to trigger people. I don't play that game anymore. I'm not paying attention to him. But here's the scary part, because
Shouldn't he have been on Proline, like that show with
he should be on Prozac and
like,
and they should
games.
do to him what they did.
Should have been with
Wednesday
Jim Feist
morning.
on the panel. No, I mean, where they go, okay, let's go to Donald Trump. Donnie, what do you got? Well, I got Green Bay today.
So this golf tour, I guess they're expanding from 8 to 14. Are they on any TV networks?
No,
Which
nothing
network
yet.
is going to touch them? Is it going to be
YouTube,
paper?
They have a great announcing team, though, if they get Barkley, and then they'll have David Farrany.
It's going to be like, hey, we'll sign
And Gary
them up and put them on
McCord
South Florida Live.
is
Yeah,
looking
it's
at doing it also. Mayo, you ought to look for a job with these guys. They're paying big money. I mean, if you had no conscience, I guess. And I'm not sure that that's what it would take either. But the lure of easy money. McCord's out of work, so I guess he's going to work now for the Live Tour, and so they have the best announcing team for any entity that has no network deal. This would be like the XFL bringing Cosell back from the grave to do their Monday night games. I mean,
a lot of this makes no sense to me, and the fact that Donald Trump is like heavily involved with having his golf courses, and playing host to these events, it tells you everything you need to know. And Greg Norman, look, I always liked watching the guy and covering the guy when he was in his prime on the tour, but he's got he's richer than God. He's developed all these, wines in Australia, and they're actually pretty good wines, and he's developing golf. Why does he need to do this? Why does he need to, this is going to be, the lead sentence of his obituary is Greg Norman, the guy who never won the Masters, won the British Open, and fell into bed with a bunch of murdering thugs in the Middle East, Saudis. Why do this to yourself? But I guess he's another one of these attention whores, just like the Donald. And whatever, more power to him.
Did you sense when you were covering golf that there was this massive resentment about the PGA Tour?
Yes, and that's the backstory here.
Oh wow!
This is the backstory, and people might not remember this, but I do, because actually I wrote the story. Greg Norman hated Dean Beeman, who was the PGA Tour commissioner at the time. He hated a lot of the restrictions and the obligations that came with tour membership. Greg Norman thought that every golfer is essentially a independent contractor and should be a free agent and free to go and play anywhere in the world any week that they want for whatever appearance money. And if you qualify for an event or if you have a tour card, you could just show up and play there. That at the time, the PGA Tour, if you were a member, you had to get a release to play in events like that were paying big appearance money in the Middle East. Greg Norman, in I think it was about the late 90s or early 90s, tried to form a renegade tour, and I think he was calling it the World Golf Tour. And he tried to do what he's doing now with the Live Tour back then. And Dean Beeman and the tour was powerful enough. This was pre-Tiger, so the players didn't hold all the power. The tour did. So it kind of the Dean Beeman nipped Norman and his whole rebellion in the bud, and it went nowhere. But I guess he must have been seething all these decades.
It's harbored some resentment. Yeah, like you with that Bloody Mary over in Houston. I mean,
that's right. I'm going to call.
Seafood.
Yeah.
This is why I'm going to be every Saturday
or
every day of the week, go into the Foundry, right when it opens up, and get myself a big old Bloody Mary and just hoist it across the street and say, "Take that, Houston's, you son of a bitch bastard." Thanks to Ken, by the way. That was a lot of fun.
And he said his brother, if whatever stuck for a spot, and that was his bad.
And we were racking up the views. Obviously, people liked we had a substantive talk. It was shocking because we were drinking, but we were talking about all these major issues and with restaurants and the minimum wage and what kind of impact and all that. And people were watching it. They dug us.
It's educational, my friend. We're here to educate the people.
That's what we do.
That was always my purpose in doing any kind of a broadcast.
Hey, meanwhile, Big Chill, I'd love to get on board, cut them into the lunchbox, and then we could get them on Let's Eat, and then we'll all go down there. And
if we're down there,
you're on to go down there. I mean, if we don't take you down there, then there's no point taking anybody down there because you really need to try some of this stuff. You do, and we'd be curious to get your professional opinion. Yeah, not any bias.
Our show and your show there.
Yeah,
no, that's it.
We'll do a lunchbox down there while we're down there for sure.
Yeah,
and you can sample a lot of different stuff. I would think you're inclined. I don't know. You like different types of pizzas, which is good, and they do a lot of different specialty things. I mean, pretty much anything you can conjure up, they can make for you. But they have like a wild imagination on their own, and they do the standard stuff. But they also have like high end seafood, and there are many good restaurants in the Keys. And I would say this ranks up there with any of them, and probably has more variety than any of the other restaurants by far.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been there because I guess when you hit, if you coming down one and then going to Key West or Isla Morada, like you turn right. Is this place when you turn left? You have to go like north?
No. If you're going down US 1 there, the overseas highway,
what mile marker is it? Like
104? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's like
almost
right
as soon as you get, as soon as you get into Key Largo, it's
onto the mainland
on the right side,
right near Pennicamp Park and all that stuff. I gotta get down there.
Good spot, man. It really is. The grounds are very impressive. That commercial spot we are. I mean, it looks very dynamic, and it looks even better than the brochure, if you will.
Well, I hope that
it's fantastic.
We button this up, and I'll be down there with my bib, and I can make a big mess and have lobster shells and everything flying off that pizza. It sounds good. Hey, it's the Gambling Gourmet. Let's talk some gambling. I got to give a shout out. Well, first of all, I got to give a shout out to my man Sean. This week at the Hard Rock, and I'm going to be taking my shots either tonight or tomorrow. But they're kicking off this big World Poker Tour series with a $400 buy-in event where they guaranteed $1 million. They've already smashed the guarantee. It's going to end up being about $2 million in the prize pool. Wow. A field that will total probably about 5,000 entrants. And everybody who makes it to day 2 gets paid something. Well, Sean played yesterday afternoon, and he's sitting on the board there, probably like in the top 20 with 343,000 chips. I don't know if it was first or second buy-in. Willie, I don't know. I didn't see his name yet, but Sean's in, and good luck to him. And I'm going to be good luck to me because I'm going to give probably my shot tomorrow. I'm fresher during the daytime. So that's the big poker series of events going on at the Hard Rock this week. And then Saratoga, Monmouth. I don't know. I didn't look at anything yet. I sit on the sidelines all week. I was a good boy. I didn't really play.
I had a guy give me a horse yesterday. I was out there punching a little bit. And this friend of mine who doesn't really say much to anybody, he's usually like just kind of, it seems like he's anxiously walking back and forth. Always has a lot of papers in his hand and figures that he's come up with himself. But I would say, it's not like he's never wrong, but he usually comes up with some pretty good stuff, right? If he tells me, and I'll have a horse anywhere, like, hey, 6th at Mountaineer tonight. You're like, what? Mountaineer? I'm not going to be here for that. What are you talking about? That 6th at Mountaineer. You'll then check the results, and sure enough, he was right, or the horse, will have made a big run, even when he's wrong most occasions. So he gives me a horse yesterday that looked impossible. I mean, hadn't run since December. Didn't have speed figures anywhere commensurate with the rest of the field. Only had been out 3 times total lifetime. The last time out was at Gulfstream Park, running at Saratoga all of a sudden. And it was like a minute to post, and he quickly tells me that, like, some story about the trainer, this, that, and the other thing. And sure enough, the horse won, and it was mysteriously bet down from like 8-1 morning line. Then right towards the race, it started dropping. Yeah. And and ended up paying like 11 and change, but that was good. I mean, very fortunate because
always a good thing when you get a tip that actually comes in, because I think tips usually run worse than like favorites.
Yes,
Saratoga. 1 for 3,
especially from jockeys. Yeah, jockey tells you to bet a horse, forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it. Except if it's Luca Panici. And
any other wagering, opportunities here? Because we got to run.
I'm going to put most of my funds into this poker tournament, and a little bit. I'll check out the Saturday.
Are you still in that league, by the way? My son wanted to know. He wanted to, get back involved here.
That's the one. The one that's online. I do it occasionally. Actually, I took one down on Wednesday night. I was bored after I was laid up in bed. But but I play it very rarely because I don't like the internet poker. I think people could be in cahoots. But yeah, I'm still doing that league, and they're a good group of guys. I don't think anybody's doing anything nefarious. I just don't trust the algorithms on some of these poker sites. But and anyway, that's all paranoid talk. I wanted to give one program note. Our good buddy Joey and Sally at Cafe Seville, they're going on a little vacation. And so Cafe Seville, I was in there this past week.
No, they're not closing.
A great piece of swordfish, but they're going to be closed starting Sunday, which is their usual day off. So not reopening until Monday, August 15th. So again, if you want to get into Seville. It's a little bit of a 2-week refresh. Tonight or tomorrow, the last 2 nights of service before their little summer break. And then Joey is also going to be going up to Saratoga. But he wants to get together, Defo. He's got like 10 days before he's leaving. They're doing some work on the place.
Let's do it.
He wants to go out to your favorite parimutuel place and play a day of
let's
Saratoga, either on a Friday or a Saturday. Let's maybe pencil in next weekend.
So talk him into a Friday edition out there. It's always fun being out there for the Friday session. All right, I have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
All right, how many mega money Powerball tickets are you buying tonight?
I'm bought
$1 billion. $1 billion.
I don't play the lottery. No, you got to throw in the obligatory 20.
Don't you have to throw a 20 in it? Yeah. I mean, just
20.
Case,
20 is
the off chance. If you're not in it, you can't win it. Exactly.
You got to be in it to win.
All right, kiddo. We'll see you noontime today. I heard you had a great time yesterday, so curious to hear a little bit about the Peruvian place when we rejoin you. For Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, a very popular edition here on South Florida Live at noon today with Mike Mayo, who looks resplendent today. You always party there on the side. And we'll see you at 12. You just got him right out of there, man. Said, hey, enough.
I said when I wake up sometimes on a Friday before showering, it's all disheveled. It just kind of sticks up. But yeah, usually
looks good. No, it looks good.
Thanks.
No ink in there at 56 too. That's good. That's good. All right, thanks, Michael. Always a pleasure, my friend.
2 hours, sir.
Yeah, poker is on his mind. You can tell. Surprised he isn't, blowing off the show today at 12 o'clock so he can get out to the Hard Rock there. That sounds pretty good. $2 million in the pot there, $400 buy-in. All right, Mike Lubitz, outstanding. Great week. A lot of fun. We'll catch you guys later. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, 12 o'clock here on South Florida Live. Thanks, everybody. Love the comments and all the people weighing in. That really makes us feel good about what's happening here on the show. For Mike Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest, and we'll see you next time as we leave you to that.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Let's do this.
It's 9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.